Happy Thursday, Smite fans, and welcome into the Smite Challenger Circuit. Of course, we have got 4 SEC games for you here today. 2 of them over in EU, 2 over in North America, and the action at an all-time high as we move forward in this phase of the SEC. Remember, we're getting to the point now where the standings starting to separate out a little bit, and each win, each individual set, more important than ever. My name is Dolson. Niflheim is with me to start off this fine day of SEC Smite. And Miff, I nearly said 3 sets of something, but we got 4 sets for sure, and best of 3s. Maybe that's what I was thinking of. But we've got some great matchups here today, and I'm excited to watch the standings sort of fold out a little bit.
Yeah, I'm pretty pumped for this one. And you know what? We've got some great sets to start us off for the day. Gilded Gladiators, the Wargs, some of your EU favorites, and some roster changes as well. I'm going to be keeping my eyes on that one, but you're not allowed to leave. Every single one of these sets has massive implications on the entirety of the SEC standings.
I'm not allowed to leave?
No. Well, you in particular, no. You're on payroll.
Yeah, I have to be here. Niflheim Wargs, Gilded Gladiators, they start off our day. Up next will be the Highland Ravens and the Aru Scorpions. And then, of course, if you're looking for that Hex Mambo Styx Ferryman matchup, you want to watch that one on Saturday. So the EU SEC will round out on Saturday prior to the SPL. Massive standings implications, you say, Miff.
That's right.
So I imagine, yeah, these are looking wild. Hex Mambo up top at 2-0. I actually can't believe that the Aru Scorpions are 2-0. That was a team that didn't win a set at all in the last phase of the EU SEC. Some roster swaps, things like that, have made this team look a lot better. That team look a lot better. Gilded Gladiators and the Niflheim Wargs, those are 2 teams that are now in that position where both of these 2 squads are still searching for their first win. Gilded Gladiators, remember that the Just F6 team, they stayed the same roster for a while. Yeah, I know you like the hand movement.
No more, though.
They stayed the same roster for a long time, but that long time has come to an end. And they have swapped up some things. SAP 7 now playing in the mid lane this week for the Gilded Gladiators. Days are over in support. And so when you're together for so long and you don't find consistent built-on success, maybe it's time to swap up some roles in the team and see if that can get things moving.
Yeah, I am really surprised to see them making changes, though. Every time we had the opportunity to speak with their coaches, they had said, hey, this is our long-standing project. We want to make this team holistically better. We want to continue moving with this squad and not just iterating by replacing players, even if it is an immediate boost to them. And that's not to say that this will be. The players removed are all talented as well, but SAP 7 and Dazer have got some pretty historied performances in the SEC. But the core 3 of this team remains the same. Maskill, Astemics, and Toddy GR sticking around, so I've got pretty high hopes for this squad.
Would you say solo, jungle, and ADC are core 3?
Well, yeah, you got somewhere, you got both side lanes.
Both sides and something in the middle.
And everywhere else. I mean, as long as you have your jungler, your core is the same, as far as I'm concerned.
Yeah, right, and the core is the strongest part of the body, as we all know. Niflheim Wargs, we'll go through that roster in just a moment as we get into picks and pans for Game 1. This week, the Niflheim Wargs, Kha'Zix, Worst Turtle, Atori, Ali, and Spudio. So some names you should be familiar with if you've been watching the SEC, and then some names that are new. So we've got 2 squads here who are experiencing with some experimenting and experiencing some roster swaps going into this week. This might be a momentum, a chemistry style building week for the teams here in the EU SEC between these 2. One of the 2 teams will escape this set with a win. The other will end up falling down to 0-3. Picks and bans for game number 1. Kicking off, though, and Myth, Uller, and Nemesis both taking a ban here early on. Mercury's been a catch-all ban. It's Golden Blade style. Junglers just aren't going anywhere.
Yeah, these are as far as standards we could get, man. Ull has been just a high-pressure pick that's got decent flex potential. Nemesis dominating the jungle. As you said, Golden Blade junglers generally just going to farm up incredibly well. Mercury finds himself in that exact same category. King Arthur, though, not something we see usually banned out in the first phase, but still certainly has his merits. Great lane bully, phenomenal scaling. In a meta that seems to be leaning itself more so towards these heavy physical stacks, King Arthur can just go like Sovereignty Glad Shield and still deal immense damage while maintaining that survivability. Yamoja flanking that and Chernobog to finish out the bans for the Gladiators. It's just standard, 100% across the board. Nothing really wild just yet. But with Chernobog being one of the dedicated bans alongside Ull, we might see the Gladiators just prioritize their hunter. I was expecting a Jingwei. Seems like she was the next in line. Generally, she's the one that gets bans as well, but instead, Baba Yaga taken first overall. That tells me this game might go late because there's just so much scaling to be had.
Ganesh on the flip side, as well as... Now production's just going to mess with me. Ganesh on the other side. And Ganesh is great, Myth, I think, at setting up in the laning phase, but also the Dharmic Pillars later on in the game, great at shredding down objectives and targets. And you mentioned it, Myth, the Jingwei left available, so maybe the priority hunter still around after the ban phase. And the Niflheim Wargs were able to grab it and get some late game scaling themselves. All hunters are going to scale, right?
That's right.
But
Some better than
Jingwei
others.
feels so great in the late game, maybe counter out some of the scaling of Baba Yaga.
Some global presence, so if we want you to, you could just head back to base, rotate to some of these side lane team fights that aren't on your side of the map. I was expecting the Gladiators to take a hunter for themselves in this pick. I was thinking either the Heimdall or the Hachi. They elect to go for the Heimdall themselves, so some survivability there as well. But it seems like both side lanes, having been locked in now, presumably for the Gladiators, Heimdall for the duo, Kakullen over into the solo lane. You've got yourself two laners that really don't need a whole lot of help. Kakullen can just kind of hang out for a while. Heimdall can kind of hang out and just continue to farm up. Baba Yaga could go for like a double or triple stacking style build. So this could be a late game slanted composition for the Gladiators. And the Wargs find themselves in a pretty similar position. Jingwei needs a couple of items before she can really get the value from explosive bolts. Thoth might be one of the strongest artillery long-range mages in the game, but he needs like 3 or 4 items before he's able to get there as well. The only early game piece I'm really keeping my eye on as of right now is this Ganesh. He does afford you the opportunity to look towards objectives, Gold Fury, Pyromancer, just really easy to shred out as long as those Dharmic Pillars are up.
If we're talking about Ganesh as being the early game character in the draft.
That's right. That's right.
We're feeling pretty late game. Kali just adds to that. Of course, we've had plenty of conversations this year about Kali and how, yes, late game scaling, all of that myth, but also can be active early in the game. Initiation still there. The ability to get some kills and gold rolling for your team still there for Kali. Hunbat's may be very similar. Level 5, that Fear No Evil, you'd love to see it start to get used across the map.
And you've got some decent targets for Fear No Evil. Ganesh really doesn't have any way to deal with that CC. Thoth as well, no CC immunity built into his kit. If you're able to catch Jingwei before she channels the airstrike, which easier said than done. Hunbot literally screams before he starts fearing all the evil. Makes it pretty easy to
he's
immune
fearing
it.
no evil.
Well, yeah, but like the evil's fearing him. And they're scared of what isn't scared of it. You feel me?
It is way too early to get existential with me, Myth, because I can't keep up. I have no idea what you just said. Cthulhu, speaking of fearing things, the final pick of the draft for the Niflheim Wargs. So you've got now this stalwart, massive health bar out of the solo lane, plus late game scaling with the Kali and the Jingwei and the Thoth. Niflheim Wargs and the Gilded Gladiators, 2 teams searching for their first win in this phase of the SCC. And game number 1 about to kick off. Can the roster swaps make a difference for both of these teams? Can the Gilded Gladiators grab themselves win number 1 with the new look roster for the first time in a little while? Remains to be seen. Though it does seem, Myth, like we could be in for a slower paced game, not only for EU and the more slow controlled style of gameplay that they like to play.
He's literally asleep, man.
Yeah, don't shh.
Don't wake him.
Don't wake him. I kind of like that skin. It's very goofy the way it just sort of glides around. Kumbhakarna, though, Myth, jokes aside, not a pick we get to see that often. What do you think makes it the right pick here for the Gilded Gladiators?
Well, Kumbhakarna, when we do see it locked in, generally is in the EU SEC. I would argue more often than not over towards that solo lane, but he's got really good ability to disrupt some of these channeled abilities from the Niflheim Wargs. If Kha'Zix is getting involved, you can kind of mez him and then have your team disengage before he descends into madness. Whereas Turtle, just mez him when he goes into that destruction, and all of a sudden, even though he is death immune, this Kali won't be able to leverage it incredibly well. And then you've got the ability to just stop other channeled abilities. I really think Kumbhakarna is that, hey, I'm going to go in, I'm going to get aggressive, but I've got really high survivability, and even if I do fall down, as long as my team is nearby, someone should be able to keep me alive through that passive. So I like him a lot, especially if he's going to be your primary initiator. Sure, less Stimix on this warrior in the soul lane could start up some of your fights, especially if he likes to go towards Blink in that second slot, but Blink knockup from Kakullen does not make for an initiation every single time. So I would argue Kumbhakarna is going to be doing the lion's share of that work, and he's got so many ways to get it started.
Yeah, solo lane could be interesting, could also not be very interesting, depending on where these junglers want to put their pressure early on in this game. It's like a bit of a different start for Listimics. I've seen sort of a variety, usually Glad Shield, Sovereignty, something like that pretty early on, but when you're going up against Conduit Gem with Kha'Zix, you're going to get less value out of that. So Listimics will diversify up the standard from what we've seen early on in that lane, and then Conduit Gem, of course, for Kha'Zix helps out with some of that clear. I think so often when we see the Kilcullen myth, the question ends up being on the flip side, is there late game shred to deal with that health bar? And do you think there is for the Gilded Gladiators?
Yeah, they got a Kali. She's gonna have like kin size and probably a charged bow.
Kali's on the same team as the did I say Kilcullen?
Yeah, you did.
Oh, that's unlucky.
I was thinking to myself, this is a weird conversation to be having when a Cthulhu's
yeah, that's what I meant.
Oh, I see. Well, here's the thing.
Cthulhu.
Here's the thing about the Gilded Gladiators. They've got some shred. They've got good, consistent damage, but I think it's more so about Mass Kill starting the fight onto Cthulhu before he descends into madness. I'd like to see Fear No Evil used to set up for Toddy, for Sap 7. Even if he does get into the ultimate, as long as the Baba Yaga has gone for the build that I'm thinking she is, which is multi-stack, she might have enough power with that Home Sweet Home ultimate to really dissuade Kha'Zix from getting involved in these team fights. But if we're just talking about late game team fight in general, the 5-on-5 engagement, which when you're looking at 2 drafts like this, you got to assume that's what we're aiming for. I might just favor the Niflheim Wargs, man. It feels like their initiation is much easier to act upon. Their dive potential is much easier to execute as well. Worst Turtle really doesn't need to concern himself with anything on the side of the Gilded Gladiators, except for where is Dazer, because Dazer's the only guy who's stopping that dive.
Yep. Sap 7, I wonder what direction this Baba Yaga build will go. Could be helped out with the first blood as Mass Kill over the mid lane to counter gank out. Atori taken low. Sap just needs a bit more damage, couple more autos, maybe a 1! Oh, but the Y, unlucky for Sap 7. The geometry just not there, and the Baba Yaga goes searching for first blood. Would have helped a lot getting some of those stacking items online early. But no first blood over in mid.
Yeah, Maskill decides he doesn't want to go for that engagement, doesn't teleport to the Sacred Monkey, maybe a bit late on the input, maybe just decides he doesn't want to take the fight, instead farms with the wave. Does tick over to level 5, but can't utilize that to get involved as he was already too far away from Itori. Had he TP'd in, like 1 auto attack from Hunbots finishes off that kill.
You think
literally every time.
You think Sap is ribbing his jungler a little bit? Like, hey man, if you would have gone in there.
No, these guys are like super respectful to each other. Like it's actually wild. The team environment for some of these EU squads is ridiculous.
That's like it's okay. We'll get him next time. The idea was right.
Hey,
like,
we forced him out.
Right.
You know, he missed some farm. Don't sweat. We got the potions. This, that, or the other. If that's me,
not how. Yeah.
If that's me, bro, I'm like, wow. Why are you scared, bro? It's a level 4 Thoth. Get in there.
Well, you never know, man. Level 4 Thoth can turn and burn.
He's got some action.
From 2% HP. So first blood goes searching, but not without a little bit of action to be had as supports begin rotations out of the duo lane. That'll put both Ganesh and Kumbhakarna over in mid. So the individual target setup could be there as well. You get this epic uppercut plus
epic
potion bombs, things like that. Right on top of the dome of whoever Dazer ends up initiating on. Which could be Ollie or Atori. Both mid laners, of course, over level 5. Means a final judgment. A big home sweet home. Now some burst damage out in mid. We could see some more fireworks, depending on where these junglers want to put their action. No blink for either of the 2 junglers, who are just going to be relying on the leaps in, the teleports in, and some of that initiation.
And both of these junglers are like junglers I would consider needing blink, right? You want to blink Fear No Evil, hold on to that leap so you can just get defensive in the team fight. You want to be able to blink in stun if you're a Kali and start the fight yourself with that lash, but instead both just really reliant on that survivability. And again, I think it lends itself towards this composition. It's all about the late game team fight. You don't want to put your team behind. You don't want to stumble early on and give yourself a disadvantage once we start to approach that 20 to 30 minute mark, once Gold Furies become viable. So going for beads in that first slot may remove your ability to get involved, but will certainly not hurt you. You're not dying with that.
I like the little silence out from Ollie to counter out the root from Dazer. Here's the thing: if I'm Sap and I'm Baba Yaga,
yeah,
I love the passive from the house so much.
That's right.
that I'm only buying stacking items. Like, it could be just totally unviable, but I love the Charon's coin start. I'm going Warlock Staff.
He probably is too.
Throw me a Book of Thoth in there at some point.
I'd be surprised if he didn't.
I don't know what else you're stacking in mid, but does the house add Doom Orb stacks?
I believe so.
I have no idea.
I am not 100% certain.
Just like perma stacks.
I know for a fact it doesn't give you Urchin stats. There's that
Really?
promise. Yeah. Well, Urchin's only from God kills and assists.
Oh, yeah, I suppose that makes sense. Hello? Yeah, couldn't tell you. Anyway, Gilded. That makes no sense. That makes no sense if the stream can't end up hearing it. Mass kill, Sap 7 and Dazer rotating in towards mid. That's an epic uppercut and a root onto a Tori, but the dash is already through. Way too much damage into the Niflheim Wargs mid. That's an ultimate out of Sap now for additional damage. Ollie still has the Dharmic Pillars. Worst Turtle still has Destruction. Dharmic Pillars back on the backside of mid. And it looks like first blood and done for the Gilded Gladiators.
Just a nice opportunity for the Gilded Gladiators with Itori completely exposed. Worst Turtle nowhere nearby. Wasn't quite able to peel out whatsoever. Surprised to see that Dharmic Pillar tossed out, though, from Ollie. That felt like low return, regardless of how many people you're hitting. You could be connecting with 4 or 5 ticks. But without your mid laner there, with Worst Turtle hovering in the jungle, just feel like that Dharmic Pillar couldn't have found any value. Purple buff invade will be successful for mass kill, but can everybody get out alive? Dazer's pretty deep.
Dazer does get the root. Ollie without Dharmic Pillars and no big follow-up just yet from the Wargs. Means that Dazer will be just fine. Worst Turtle will take this opportunity, though, to steal away some of those back camps, and the quicker you can get up and running on this Kali, definitely the better. Like the activity we've seen, though, from both of these supports early on in this game. Ollie a bit more reactive, but Dazer definitely proactive with the rest of the squad. But too proactive, that's the question. Dazer grabs the epic uppercut. Worst Turtle, the one knocked up and then dropped down. But it looks like Dazer will be just fine. Suppose you have that option with Kumba Carney. Kind of run around, smack some people around, and this early on, tanky enough to survive.
Groggy Strike to self-peel, Mez to self-peel, CC immune dash plus essentially a banish with epic uppercut to self-peel, another dash as well. This guy is just incredibly hard to lock down. Another incredibly ambitious ultimate from Ollie. Probably just wasn't keeping the closest track of Dazer's dash timing. Maybe just trying to find that slow to buy some time for Worst Turtle to rotate through, but off the mark yet again. So Dharmic Pillars lost out for the Niflheim Wargs. Not a massive deal, as he has gone towards that Spirit Robe in the first slot, so some CDR over to Ollie means that Dharmic Pillars will be coming pretty consistently, I suppose, for the Niflheim Wargs, so better to have used it and not needed it than the other way around. And he seems to be a massive practitioner of that style of play.
Now, this is not real analysis at all, but can I just say,
please,
visually, I hate the way Toddy's build looks right now. Not only, and I'll hold that thought as a gank sends its way over. Not only is a starter item in the second slot.
God, he just throws them out.
Mass kill, looking for a red buff steal, able to grab it as Ollie was close by. Dharmic Pillars, as you mentioned, Miff, did go down, but Ollie might as well. If Fear No Evil drops, the Ganesh has to use the beads, but a blink in from Dazer is follow-up with the epic uppercut, and a jump over the wall from Worst Turtle, now searching for the Hun Bats, but a descent into madness from Kha'Zix should be the difference maker here, and that's a heal for Worst Turtle and an answer back on the kills from the Wargs.
Kha'Zix just walked over. That wasn't a TP from the Cthulhu. He simply walked on 2 Cthulhu feet and got there. Curious rotation. Without him getting the kill, that should give an advantage over to Lestemix in the lane as long as he stuck around to clear out some waves, and that's exactly what he's done. So just about an entire wave lost a tower, potentially another one as well, if Lestemix can catch him in the jungle, rotating back through. So even with Mass Kill falling down, it's really only going to affect Mass Kill. You're going to get a slight advantage over to Lestemix, Worst Turtle, maybe about a half level up, but by nature, I think Kali needs a little bit longer to get online than Hun Bots does, so within the realm of acceptable losses, I believe. Interesting play. Curious to see how that one pans out. Maybe had Maskill decided to dedicate his time to trying to finish off Ollie. Dazer does so very well, connects the epic uppercut after Ollie had expended the beads. Yeah. A leap in from Maskill, you're at least getting the 1-for-1 trade. Instead, completely disengages, loses his life, does at least invade the red buff, Curious. The game's completely equalized regardless.
Yeah.
1-1, gold's about even, experience largely even across the board as well. So it's hard to say how that really reflects on the rest of the match.
All right, now I can finally say, I hate the way Toddy's build looks just visually.
You were holding on to that.
I was, and I had to cast a team fight. You know, I have to actually, do it when it's given. Not only am I gonna have to stop again, I am. As Bifrost looks like it's enough for now. An airstrike up and over, but Toddy will now use his ult to get away. Worst Turtle does have destruction, so it's just a matter of time. And that's a kill over to Worst Turtle. And Toddy's going to upgrade one of his items, I'm sure. I just hate that the starter item's in the second slot. Andy went like a light blade, didn't finish that, and then moved on to a bow item and didn't finish that yet. There's nothing actually real in that because action's actually been happening. As Maskill sends out the Fear No Evil. Looking for Spuddio with a knockup on the backside. Gives Worst Turtle a reinitiation chance. Epic uppercut will get it done for Taser. And a Dharmic Pillars slows down Maskill and Worst Turtle on a killing spree in the first 12 minutes.
Maskill deciding to take a fight, realizing that Worst Turtle is still around, so will not be able to survive that exchange. Even with Taser finishing off the kill on a Spuddio, that should be a value trade over to the Niflheim Wargs, as they are able to reset themselves, seal away a purple buff, and get some additional farm. But even with all that, still, it's the Gilded Gladiators ahead in gold, barely. It is barely, about 200, separating these two squads, but as far as macro farm is concerned, they're doing just fine.
And this is what you hope for when you pick a Kali. And this is what we talk about when we say the early game can get things spooling up a bit quicker. Already 3 kills, tier 2 Odibo, kin size as well, so the healthier targets are going to get shredded through, whether it's Dazer or Listimix at this point. Listimix has gone Stone of Gaia, by the way.
What's the net worth diff, do we think? I'm thinking this Kali's not so far ahead. Yeah.
Between Kali and Maskill?
I'm thinking it's pretty close, if I had to guess. With experience as close as it is, yeah, Kali third on the chart, but only 400? Up by like 400, even though he's 3-0 as opposed to the 1 and 2 for Maskill. That's not a massive gap, especially considering some of those kills should have likely been Kali's target, right? Like, you've got a higher bounty.
Yeah.
Even then, Worst Turtle still sitting largely even.
Let's see. I was really hoping to see what the chin size were going to get done, but Dazer will take a nap and glide away from the red buff. So we've seen some good and some bad from the Dharmic Pillars this game, but that's always going to happen when Ollie is throwing them out at the rate that the Ganesh has been. Feels like just on cooldown, and there's a lot of it already, by the way. Spirit Robe into Pridwin. And it's a somewhat low cooldown on Dharmic Pillars anyway. Just playing full-on ult-based Ganesh, it feels like right now, and Niflheim Wargs have looked better for it at points.
Yeah, surprised he doesn't go towards the awesome Jake patented Chronos Pendant first slot, right? Yeah. Like, if he's going to be throwing out the ultimate as often as he has been.
Are you buying stock in the Chronos Pendant start?
I wasn't. Then I got on a ranked grind over the weekend, got up to like 2,600, and they're all doing it, so maybe it's just good.
Do you think Awesome Jake is the meta setter when it comes to ranked support?
You know, I'm gonna give you a little secret. It is so seldom that the pros themselves are the ones starting up these metas. Usually it's like some crazy dude in rank just going for a wild play.
Epic uppercut onto Worst Turtle, who does have destruction, but
is he out?
It's the stun, the blink, the leap, all of it. Destruction through the Fear No Evil buys some time. The mass kill teleports in, and the Gilded Gladiators are able to answer back their kills. That was a purple buff invade.
Uh-oh.
Gone wrong.
Good
Final
Lord.
Judgment doesn't hit its mark. Mass kill nearly met his match. The Cold Fury instead now pulled by the Gilded Gladiators. The Wargs close by, but this is a slow burn. And Ollie, of course, has Dharmic Pillars up and ready to go. This is far from 100% confirmed for the Gilded Gladiators, but reset by the Gladiators. And maybe just full-on reset now. I'm not sure they'll feel comfortable with the Fury.
I'm not certain you have to reset that. You could even almost just use Dharmic Pillars to boost your own burn. It's not as if Ollie's going to steal that away. Gold Fury was still at like 70%. Shred's defense could have been an opportunity for the Gilded Gladiators, just like back up, pull it a little bit further towards their side of the map, and continue just finishing off the objective. Majority of ultimates down for the Wargs. You'd already found your pick. Mass kill was on the rotation back in towards the Gold Fury. I feel like that is a situation where, although not completely guaranteed, still a pretty good odds fight. Maybe like 70-30 favoring the Gilded Gladiators around that gold. And finding that sort of lead early on could net you Pyromancers and then transition you towards Fire Giants. We're getting to that 20-minute mark. Generally, that's around the time of the SPL where we see Fire Giant targeted out, but that trepidatious play from the Gilded Gladiators means that the lead isn't really going to get pushed too much further. Both teams within 500 gold of each other. Both teams late game scaling composition. So
Are you saying it's close, Smith?
I think it's close, and I'm thinking we're probably not going to see the Pyro pulled out anytime soon. It's going to have to be a couple more picks for the Gilded Gladiators. If the Niflheim Wargs find like one pick and they maintain Itori's ultimate, they're probably willing to coin toss because that's just the hardest hitting ability on the map.
Man, Worst Turtle has just been a farm and kill machine this game. Ollie sends out another Dharmic Pillars. Dazer looking a bit worse for wear. Pridwin provides a shield, not that it made much of a difference by the end of that fight. And it looks like the Gilded Gladiator support will be able to live. And then look at the Dharmic Pillars cooldown. Literally just used, already a quarter of the way back. Ollie just happy to be using those for even individual picks. And why wouldn't you be when the cooldown is as low as it is? Point I was going to make, though, is that Worst Turtle and Maskill, I guess up to this point, as we talked about how even their net worth is, have both just been farming machines out of the jungle. I mean, Chinsai's pretty expensive item, Odibo, and now something else in that Katana tree. So Worst Turtle already strong, but able to hit those power spikes at a pretty consistent rate. Actually a bit behind in gold now to Maskill, who I guess has been a bit more successful in his farming. So the farm game plus some return kills for Maskill has helped keep that jungle feel pretty even for the Gilded Gladiators as we get towards that 20-minute mark.
And you'd expect the Kali to be the one further ahead. Not only is it a 3-1 start, but also the Golden Blade in that first slot means that her jungle clear should be a little bit better than what Maskill is able to do on this Hun bots regardless of build. But even regarding that or disregarding that, team fights go in the favor of the Gilded Gladiators as Ollie isolated in the jungle. He's going to take some damage here.
Yes, but Dharmic Pillars are going to slow down the initiation. Uh-oh, Maskill's low, and Kha'Zix will detonate the Hun bats, and the Niflheim Wargs find the opening pick of this fight. But is there more initiation to be had? Sap will use his escape as well. But now it's Dazer who is left alone and should be the last kill of this fight. And the Wargs over by the Pyromancer could and maybe should be an early objective pull for the Wargs.
I think so. They're incredibly healthy. Sap 7 and Listemics will try their best to slow this down, but that's all they can do.
Uh-oh, Sap has got to leave. Airstrike up and over by Spuddy. A nice root from Atori as Toddy sends some auto attacks out. But the Wargs look like they're going to have to back away. So a couple of kills, but no Pyromancer here on the right side of the map. Still would have been a 5 versus 3. But enough damage threat from the Gilded Gladiators made the Wargs think twice.
The Wargs had two opportunities there. It's either completely chase out the kill and try and secure it, or have one or two of your 5-member stack just walk them down while you stick to the Pyromancer and take the objective for yourself. As long as you're able to generate threat on these objectives, you control where the Gilded Gladiators are allowed to walk in that situation. If you're worried about them disengaging their tier 1 tower, simply stick to the Pyro, and they will stick around themselves of their own volition. Instead, the Niflheim Wargs completely reset the objective, and in doing so, the Gilded Gladiators now have legitimately zero reason to be there. Just walk away. And instead, now it's them actually pulling the Pyromancer out, and it's burning pretty quick.
They're going to get it. Niflheim Wargs not in range, so a couple of kills, and then a Pyromancer a few moments later. And guess what that's done to the game, Miff?
Well, surely it hasn't kept it even. Surely not.
It's kept it even. 300 gold in the lead now are the Gilded Gladiators. A bit of an experience lead for the Niflheim Wargs. That being said, mainly out of solo lane, though answers back by Sap and Dazer both having a level lead. You want to fight around Spuddio right now if you're the Wargs. Spuddio and Worst Turtle. A 2-level lead for the Jingwei just passively built up over in that lane, as well as a kill and a few extra assists for the Jingwei. Ikavale, Atalantis, Bow, Wind Demon. So the attack speed, a little bit of crit for Jingwei. Feeling good here 20 minutes in. Ollie, a defensive use of the Dharmic Pillars this time is just the threat from Dazer. Kind of brings to the forefront the need for disengage from the Wargs. Both support Smith, I think, have just been tossing out their ultimates, looking for the initiation, and sometimes it's been working, sometimes it's not. But I at least admire the initiative.
Yeah, and it's not like they're like inting. You know, only one death between both supports.
Did that come off as bad?
No. But you know, generally when you're like, yeah, both supports just getting active all the time, I'm thinking about like some of the supports that we've seen in the past just falling down. So they've done a good job of mitigating that aggression and not falling too often in the team fights. Dazer, again, acting as that solo agent, trying his best to get something started, but this time may have bit off a little bit more than they could chew.
Wouldn't that be poetic, bro, when you're talking about, well, they're not inting. Dazer just gets picked out. Doesn't, though. He'll stay alive.
Mass kill?
And has his ultimate back. Mass kill leaps away. Has a Fear No Evil for disengage. Dazer stuck around. Maybe rather, Spudio caught his back. Mez out, but so are the Dharmic Pillars. Dazer slowed and nowhere to go, and Spudio knocks down another one for the Niflheim Wargs. This is why I mentioned you want to fight around this Jingwei. 2-level lead, well underway in that build. Silver Branch getting some good value. And now it looks like a Gold Fury pull by the Wargs. And nobody from the Gilded Gladiators are in range, so this will be probably the largest gold lead we've seen yet this game. Just about 1,000, and it is. As earlier in the game, the Gladiators had about 1,000 gold lead. But the Wargs able to pick up this objective and to kill. A nice swing for the Chaos side.
But if you look at the state of the relics, the Niflheim Wargs carries both Itori and Spudio missing out on those beads, so it could be an opportunity for Mass Kill to try and find a kill. I think I'd prefer to see him engage onto Itori. Airstrike still available to Spudio means that he will likely be able to avoid the Fear No Evil, but the same can't be said of Itori, who's got about 45 seconds until that's back and available. So even right here, if Mass Kill so choose, could have just blinked on Itori, likely would have at least forced him back to base. Could have even knocked him down with this style of build, Hydra's Lament, Transcendence, Brawler's Beat Stick as well. Instead, though, decides to go for the slower style of play. You don't keep up with Akali with Golden Blade in the jungle, unless you're farming your own jungle pretty efficiently, and Mass Kill will continue to do so.
Mass Kill is really going to hurt with Hydras, and then the Titan's Bane's going to get finished here in just a moment. Massive power spikes in the last two items, so taking a little while to get there with how expensive the items can be. But Mass Kill, come team fight phase, really going to be hitting hard, not only on these carries, but the tanks. It's going to take some hefty damage numbers as well. Sap 7's build has continued on, 2 stacking items as we figured to start off. Warlock Staff after that. I don't know if you count Soul Gem as a stacking item. Technically, stacks get built up, so I'll give it a half point. Into a Soul Reaver. And so there's a lot of bursts now coming out of Sap 7. A lot of it now connecting onto Ali, who's got Spirit Robe, Pridwin, and Sovereignty. And so I think we've started to reach kind of that late game Baba Yaga style of point now, Myth, where Sap is far enough along in that build, some uncontested damage from the Baba Yaga will really burst down these targets.
Yeah, I think so. I mean, that wasn't even the entirety of his kit connecting with Ollie. I believe that was only the second ability and already doing upwards of 15% of this support's HP bar. Worth noting, though, that Ollie doesn't really have a dedicated magic defense item to split defense items immediately into a sovereignty. Means that he is going to be susceptible to Sap 7. And having seen the damage output, or Sap rather, having seen it, should likely be willing to just continually throw out the poke at just about anyone, even Kha'Zix to a certain extent. Not the most survivable against this magic DPS.
Sap had to dash away as the Niflheim Wargs had sent 5 to mid. Feels like we're just kind of brewing for a team fight here. All 5 members of both squads staring at one another over in mid. Bumba's Hammer finished for Mass Kill. That's a nice power spike for the jungler as well. I'm just waiting for a big initiation to happen, but looks like without much to fight for here in mid, both teams happy with just a bit of disengage.
Pyromancer's up. It's not as if there's nothing to fight for. If the Niflheim Wargs can just start moving the fight in that direction, they will do so. Pyromancer pulled out and burning quickly. But no confirmation here just yet.
Watch out for Mass Kill. Oh no, Spudio dashed right towards the Hunbats, but Mass Kill didn't go in, waited, and now Spudio's been able to airstrike up and over. The silence massive from Ali. Is Mass Kill still gonna win that fight? All the lockdown from Ali makes the big difference there, but Mass Kill, a great start to this fight, sets up for the rest of the Gilded Gladiators. An ultimate from Toddy on to Ali, and Toddy's got a double. In the meantime, Dazer still initiating on the other side of this fight.
Good fear.
As only Mass Kill is down, but the dual lane of the Wargs is missing.
So now the Gilded Gladiators in a position where they could just back up to the objective, try and pick that one up for themselves. Instead, Dazer chases so far on his own, and when you're on your own, you tend to die alone as well. So does that exactly. 2-for-2 trade at the end of the day, despite the heroic efforts of Maskill. I'm sorry, what was that? It is completely even. No objective going down either. Maybe, this tower, Stiff Breeze knocks it over. Surely Lestivic. Well, once they clear the wave, surely the wave takes the tier 1, which is the only thing separating these two teams after that team fight. Oh, hold on.
What do you think this tower goes down?
Yeah. Yeah.
All right, the tower goes down, but so does Toddy, who backs right in tower range.
Yeah.
Toddy dies off. Another kill over to Worst Turtle. The tower does die. I don't know. That kind of flips it back towards even, Myth. A tower down in exchange for.
He's dead for 45. 45. The Niflheim Wargs are 5 strong.
Would you immediately pull FG?
Oh, I'm going straight to the Fire Giant. You gotta assume the Gilded Gladiators' relics are down, and they are. Maskill and Sap 7 missing out on those beads. Fire Giant's looking mighty appetizing.
He's right there. Gonna talk about the Fire Giant like that? He's right there. Bifrost is up for Toddy. So in 20 seconds, the Heimdall can make his way back to this side of the map, but that is a long 20 seconds for the Gilded Gladiators to survive. Fear No Evil, good at separating out this fight. Wargs back away as a final judgment was charged by Atori. So Toddy will make it back onto the map. 2 trebuchets, though, for the Gilded Gladiators, marching down different lanes. Left side tier 2 will go down. Mid lane tier 2 gonna take a bit of damage. The Gilded Gladiators have bought their time and are able to find some passive objectives on the other side of the map.
Good ultimate will force Dazer to head back to base. No way, even with his wild abandon, that he's willing to stick around in this team fight. The Niflheim Wargs find yet another situation where they have generated a 5 versus 4 opportunity. Whether or not they take it is up to them, and it seems as if they are not willing yet again. So the Gilded Gladiators will have Dazer head back to base and resume his march towards the Pyromancer. And despite the Gilded Gladiators being at a disadvantage this entire time around the Fire Giant dance, it's them yet again pulling the Pyromancer, and it seems to me they're going to get it without any fight back from Niflheim Wargs. So neutral objective over to the Order side, as is the largest gold advantage we've seen so far.
You know, it's actually a decent gold lead for the Gilded Gladiators. I think the Trebuchet on left knocking down that tower makes a difference. Tier 1 going down makes a bit of a difference. And passive jungle farm building up for the Gilded Gladiators have given them a nice-looking advantage over the next couple of minutes of this game. Not a back-breaking amount of gold by any means. Build still somewhat close for both of these teams. But is it enough gold to pull the Fire Giant? Toddy and Lestemics think so. Maskill, Sap, and Dazer separating out the Niflheim Wargs from initiation. But you can only slow down a Cthulhu so much. Toddy has taken half of his HP and damage at the beginning of this fight, and Toddy will not be able to participate as Kha'Zix has pulled the eyes of 3. Bifrost successful, but Toddy TKO'd, and the Gilded Gladiators now fighting without their hunter as Dazer will do his best to get out of this fight. Epic Uppercut used for disengage. Dharmic Pillars drops down from the rest of the Niflheim Wargs, but no kills are dropped just yet. Now is the time for Maskill to send a Fear No Evil towards Worst Turtle, who has jumped back in. The Mez delays out this fight.
No
Unreal.
way.
Does everyone live?
No way.
And no kills drop.
Lestemic's going to go back in on his own. Toddy GR at his heels, actually, so should be able to generate enough threat to force the Niflheim Wargs back. And again, it's the Wargs who have a significant advantage in the entirety of the team fight, but could not agree who they wanted to chase out. It's Kha'Zix, who's got the zone on the Toddy. He's switching targets back and forth inside the Descent into Madness. Worst Turtle can't connect all of his damage. And in staying so long and in chasing so far, it's the Gilded Gladiators who regroup first and find the defensive positioning around the fire.
Okay, we are back to right where we were a second ago.
Enhanced.
Enhanced Fire Giant now. Even more important for these teams to fight over this objective. We have had one 4-minute-long team fight where we have just been poking and prodding damage at one another. And no kills have dropped in that amount of time. Primal Fury's up on left. The Waves at a pretty equal state, not going to be pushing heavily one way or another. And so both teams okay, for a little bit at least, to sit and hang out and try not to be the team to be engaged upon. And it really feels like Maskill's going to be the one jumping in, or Dazer, to be fair, when that blink is back up in 40 or so seconds. And on the flip side, Dharmic Pillars could catch out a good target, Kha'Zix maybe, but feels like none of that initiation is really stuck to force a team fight to get some kills. But maybe Listemics and Toddy can beckon in the Niflheim Wargs here. Dazer on the wrong side of this fight, mass kill. Sends out a Fear No Evil, and a Dharmic Pillars gets used for Spudio's disengaged purposes. Listemics taken low and silenced on the front of this fight. Kha'Zix descends into madness, but no damage is hitting home. And again, everyone will live.
That is absolutely insane. Itori, dash forward, connects some damage on a Dazer. No dash available to him, so Relic's forced out.
Surely!
Don't call me that.
Don't call me Shirley. Itori. Nope. All right. We all live once again. And it looks like we will reset and take a deep breath here. 31 minutes. We're refusing to die.
Sheer power of will from these guys.
Sheer power of will. Look, and it's important that they don't when the death timers are getting close to a minute now.
Fire's pulled.
Though the Wargs winning the health battle have forced the Gilded Gladiators to stick around. A couple resets come through, but Listemics was not able to leave. Sap had to stick around as well. Soul Gem will provide some burst healing. Wondered if the Wargs would fully commit onto the Enhanced Fire Giant, but they were just testing the response time of the Gilded Gladiators. Could always be a play call, Miff, to leave, head to the Primal Fury, just send a couple over there, but the moment the Wargs or the Gladiators know that that's happening, the Fire Giant should get pulled.
So I think that makes it even more risky. You got to think that the Niflheim Wargs probably have a better opportunity to go for that style of play. As long as Itori is on the right side of the map, he should be able to have the highest damaging ability, which means that the Gilded Gladiators can't really leave it to a coin toss situation. Spudio with this build,
they do have the highest
certainly
Dharmic Pillars, highest damaging ability.
Yeah, highest burst. That's on me.
They do have it on their team.
Yeah, I misspoke. I meant highest burst, but they do have the highest damaging ability as well. Yeah, look, Spudio could solo the Primal. That's one way to find an advantage.
Could, but Miff, I see the horizon in front of us.
Do you?
And you know what I see over the horizon?
And what's that?
A lot more poke damage. And nobody dying in any of these fights. And I say that now as definitely a deicide fight is about to happen. But it's so it is the most literal version of a tug of war I've seen around the Fire Giant in a little while.
It's been 10 minutes.
Where the Gilded Gladiators pull it, the Wargs poke them down, and so the Gilded Gladiators back up, and then the Niflheim Wargs fill that space and pull the Fire Giant. And then the Gilded Gladiators poke down the Wargs, who then have to leave. And then the Gilded Gladiators pull the Fire Giant.
I was there, man.
Right, I'm just making sure that this is literally my job, to recap, to set the stage.
Please.
All right, I'm done. Go.
Oh, no. Okay. Look, I already stated I think really the Niflheim Wargs should be sending Spudio over towards the Primal Fury. Considering we've got 10 uninterrupted minutes of data that neither one of these teams is capable of doing the actual Fire Giant, and at times really only able to do the Pyromancer if the other squad isn't there, you have to do something to separate the map. You can split push Tier 1 towers, still pretty viable right now for either one of these teams. You can go over for that Phoenix, which has already got a minion wave on it on the left-hand side, or you continue to do this.
Sap will get out as the Dharmic Pillars gets used. All right, Kha'Zix is pressing down the gas.
Good old.
The Skadulu wants a kill. Dazer into his passive. Kha'Zix melted down by the Gilded Gladiators in the first advantage we have seen in a minute. Spudio airstrikes
That's crazy.
The Kumba in his passive. As Worst Turtle drops a double stun. Destruction doing serious work, and the heal comes through as well. A 2-for-1 trade for the Gilded Gladiators, but Worst Turtle still has some gas in the tank. And it looks like it has just run empty. Niflheim Wargs lose 2. Sap 7 down for the Gladiators. Not enough of an advantage to pull the FG.
Wildest airstrike I've ever seen in my life, man. Spudio has got a death wish. Legitimately, actual analysis, I think he mistimed Dazer standing back up. He had assumed that airstrike was just going to one-shot him upon standing up. First off, that's not how it goes down. Even had he timed it properly, I'm pretty sure Dazer just tanks through that every single time, and regardless, Spudio in that position is going to fall down, having literally airstriked into the opposition.
Airstruck.
He airstruck him, for sure, and he died for it. Crazy. But it is the Fire Giant pulled out now by the Gilded Gladiators. Ollie hovering nearby, and you better believe those pillars are Dharmic, so gonna be pretty difficult to confirm this objective.
You nearly kept it together throughout your entire sentence. Little waver at the end there, Biff. I caught it. The enhanced fire giant gets reset. Days are low. We'll have to dash away. His worst turtle is now bought.
It's dead even.
Yeah, say it for me, Miff. We're dead even at 36 minutes. I'll just do it because you weren't going to. The silence out from Ollie pushes the Gilded Gladiators back. And again, there was a slight bit of wave pressure on the left side, Phoenix. Slight bit of wave pressure. But now that has been equalized. Both literally in the dead center of the left side lane. Mid lane waves are crashing into one another in mid, and solo lane waves are meeting each other there as well. And so no map threat, no trebuchets to be looked at. I think the obelisks haven't been filled up in about 15 minutes.
Who's had the time?
Who's got the time?
Nobody. We got to dance around this fire.
And so the fire giant awaits, but it seems like we've got one or two more slow burn fights, and the team's just so good at getting out. Like you lose one member and you hit the eject button to not get any worse than it was. So keep your eyes on Mass Kill.
my
Now
God.
Full build. So much burst for the Gilded Gladiators. A big Fear No Evil into a couple beadsless targets in the next 15 seconds. Could really hit its mark. Dazer alone.
He's getting owned.
Yeah, Worst Turtle is wailing on Dazer. The health bar just melts under the chin size, and the rest of the attack speed, and the hasten katana that Worst Turtle has got, and that means the Niflheim Wargs want to fight. Frenzy gets used, but so do the Dharmic Pillars. Damage from over the wall from Atori is slowed down with Stemics, but now Ollie has to dash away. Again, it's this poke battle.
Whoa!
Oh my god! Poke or burst, Sap earns the second, and now for a minute, as Baba Yaga is in the grave, Ollie has fallen as well, so it ends up being a 1-for-1 trade, and it looks like we'll disengage on that.
Yeah, not much else to stick around with. Worst Turtle still has his ultimate throughout that fight, so you gotta think.
Was that a fight?
Wait, Worst Turtle has got beads, blink, and death immunity available to him. And I saw him literally remove Dazer from the game, left alone with him for like 2 seconds. Now, I'm gonna say it, Worst Turtle should have been there.
Well, he's got Magai's cloak as well, so he's got beads, Magai's.
Yeah, my man should be getting active. There's no way a fight's going down like that. And Worst Turtle's thinking to himself, no opportunities. Nothing I could have done to change this outcome whatsoever.
Myth, there's only one chance,
Don't
one
wanna miss it.
opportunity to seize everything you've ever wanted. And Worst Turtle realizes that.
Yeah, and he's not blowing it here. Surely not.
So, we had spaghetti last night.
It's all over his sweater, man.
It's too early in the day. It's too early in the day. No.
Look, Pyro's, it's going down.
Oh, God.
We've been dancing around the fire giant for 20 minutes.
I know. We've earned a little break. A little break. Oh, I'm crying. Oh, God.
All right. I got it.
Please.
Relics are coming back up. Ultimates all back up, barring Lestemics, who just got his available as well. So about even in the Relic department. You're about a minute out from Ollie and Spudio getting those beads available, so could be a struggle for them to survive the initiation of the Gilded Gladiators. Mass Kill, of course, should be acting as primary there. That Fear No Evil, a death sentence for either of those targets, or even potentially Dazer here, if Worst Turtle were able to connect that stun, but not going to do it this time around. So the Gilded Gladiators and Niflheim Wargs will resume their dance, their samba, around the fire giant.
Sambas are fast, man, I think.
These guys are slow dancing in the dark, I suppose. It has been 20 minutes of poking and prodding around this fire giant, and it has yet to go down. This might be the Guinness Book World Record fire giant for most damage taken without dying.
This better be the most impactful fire giant buff I've ever seen.
It's got to just be a dub.
Right?
The way they're playing it, it's got to just be a dub.
Right, either you're losing one team member each and disengaging, or you're losing the entire team fight and the game. And I guess that's why there's so much weight on one fight. So we've crossed the 40.5-minute threshold.
That's right.
And we've seen 2 or 3 kills in the last 20 minutes of this game.
That's right.
And we have lived rent-free on the right side of the map
That's right.
While both teams have just sent damage towards one another. We're full build, right outside of the supports. We're there.
Yeah, literally everybody.
All the relics are ready to go.
Some of them upgraded.
Just neither team has been happy, I guess, with the initiation or the initial picks that they've gotten.
Oh.
Mass kill could be a good start. Jumps back out, goes back in, gets the bubble off of Worst Turtle.
That's low value. Whoa!
That's decent damage, but it's poke damage. And I want, look, you are so far into your build.
This
Yes,
is it.
engage, you've poked them down, it's time to fight. Then Atori sends Sap into the red health bar, and Sap will have to leave. Now the Niflheim Wargs will not push down on the gas, instead double back for the enhanced Fire Giant, but the Gilded Gladiators have stuck around, and the Gilded Gladiators will poke their head around the corner. Toddy has taken a lot of damage from Kha'Zix. Dharmic Pillars onto the Heimdall. That Fire Giant is low, and it gets taken by the Wargs after 20+ minutes of gameplay. We finally have an FG, and no one died for it. That's just gameplay from the Niflheim Wargs. Then Masskill does end up dropping at the end of the fight. And the Gilded Gladiators lose their jungler and the enhanced Fire Giant.
I've been holding this in my proverbial ammunition cache of conversation topics for the last 42 minutes. We could talk about the siege potential of one of these two teams now.
Yeah.
The Niflheim Wargs have got incredibly high siege potential. Not only have they got long-range artillery damage, but they've also got the ability to empower these ranged auto attacks. Watch how quickly this Phoenix falls.
It is getting melted through by the Niflheim Wargs.
Well.
30 seconds. Yeah, the first bit of damage.
That first auto.
I'm watching, Miff, and I'm waiting.
Well, give him a second.
Dharmic Pillars through. Lastimics, big
Five
ultimate
man.
on the back, but he is alone, and Lastimics has to leap away. Worst Turtle has destruction, and Atori deals the last bit of damage to Lastimics. Worst Turtle will live, but Worst Turtle is low. Atori has just done so much work. 49,000 damage from Atori and 47,000 from Sap 7. You wonder where the poke damage is coming from? It's from both the mid laners. Right side Phoenix does get taken down halfway, but ends up living, and it looks like a reset for the Wargs.
A full reset at that. I thought maybe they'd try and set up an ambush in the jungle, catch the front line of the Gilded Gladiators, especially considering that front line was literally Sap 7. He walks up there on his own, but instead of full disengage, only 2 or 3 auto attacks connected with that Phoenix. It is on 50% HP. Lastimics goes down 1 for 0. There was no return kill. You're resustaining. Worst Turtle's got the Bumba Spear, so he's healing a lot in the jungle. He was the only one really dropped low. Really think there was an opportunity to finish off that right side bird, but I suppose you spent 23 minutes poking and prodding. You're not going to fumble the bag now. No. Instead, group up, start to work through some of these towers. Even had they taken the Phoenix, it's pretty low odds. They could have gone for the Titan itself, considering how much HP it's got, thanks to the structures still standing. So, it's going to be a 4-1 split. You got Worst Turtle down the center of the map, everybody else on the left-hand side. Worst Turtle in a precarious position, though. Doesn't really have vision on anybody from the Gilded Gladiators. And it might just be... No, now that they've seen where exactly the Wargs are...
They backed a second ago. I don't know why
they
they
can't
canceled
do
it.
They can't do it.
Well, the Gladiators were rushing right, then started to back, and then canceled their back, and now backed again. So they're a bit late to defend this left side Phoenix. So Dharmic Pillars hit their target. Lastimics being melted down by Atori. Wouldn't you guess it, a full build Thoth with a Charon's Coin final item and a Staff of Muradin as second to last. Tends to hurt pretty bad. So ultimate down from Lastimics, ultimate down from Ali as Dazer finds a double mez and a good Fear No Evil forces the dash away from Atori. Kha'Zix has transformed, but Dazer has been left alone. Frenzy gets used into the passive. Goes to Kumbhakarna, Worst Turtle into the backline. Destruction whittling away the health bars, but a well-timed Aegis from Sap will force the jump out from Worst Turtle, but it's not enough. Atori and Spudio, the carries, getting the damage done, and then Niflheim Wargs have found 2.
2 for 0 trade. 5 strong are the Wargs with some good amount of time on the Fire Giant power play yet. Still could be some initiation opportunities. Spudio and Ollie still holding on to their ultimates. Dharmic Pillars available. Thought there was certainly an opportunity to walk in towards the Titan.
No shot, we go to another enhancement.
Toddy GR, none of them have the ultimate. Worst Turtle's already fully resustained. You still have 40 seconds on the nearest respawn.
Yeah.
Keep up that aggression.
Yeah, you'd think. Masskill looking for an initiation near Fear No Evil, gets it, and it's a good one. Masskill gets Atori. Spudio down low as well, and how about from the Gilded Gladiators, a 3 versus 5 defense, and it pays off. And after all of that, the Gladiators only lose their left side Phoenix. A lot of towers, yes, but only the left side Phoenix is down. Now that'll be impactful, Myth, going into this next Fire Giant.
About a minute on that Fire Giant respawn, so the Gilded Gladiators have an opportunity to push out those waves before they try and group up for the defense.
What do you want to talk about for 20 minutes?
Yeah, if that's how long this next dance could be.
No.
The waves are going to be enough of a separator. Yeah, the Fire Minions, there's no way that dance goes as long.
I guess last time it was because Map State had zero pressure anywhere for either of these two teams, right?
That's true.
I mean, there's just nothing pulling anyone anywhere.
You're getting a Pyro here for sure.
And there's no teleport for either of the two.
They might just get the Fire Giant, actually. Gilded Gladiators have so much time. It's
That's
already on the
point.
respawn.
That's a great point. Atori is 15 seconds away from respawning. Ollie 15. You got 5 to 10 seconds. Not 5. That's a speedy character. 10 plus seconds of travel time. Yeah, I think the Gilded Gladiators, you got to realize that this is your chance. You got to just pull this immediately.
That one opportunity.
Hope it goes your way and keep that spaghetti down as the Niflheim Wargs walking into range. It's a 3 versus 5 for the Wargs. There's a Fire Giant low. Toddy dealing a hefty amount of damage. Steal potentially around the corner. Worst Turtle onto the Heimdall, and Worst Turtle gets it. But Gladiators confirm the FG for themselves. Worst Turtle heading towards the base of the Gilded Gladiators. Niflheim Wargs jungler just hovering around in the back. Gilded Gladiators, yes, you get the enhanced Fire Giant, but you've lost your carry as well.
Doesn't really matter. The Gilded Gladiators don't really want to siege with this Fire Giant. This is all about stopping the Niflheim Wargs from approaching their base. And with the Titan as healthy as it is, with enhanced Fire Giant still on 4 members, your relics are maintained for the most part. Even with Toddy GR falling, he realizes, hey, I'm not living this fight. I've done what my job was, and it was to burn the Fire Giant. Go ahead and take me, Worst Turtle. So maintains both the beads and the Aegis. The Gilded Gladiators are actually in a very good position now. They've got one of 2 avenues ahead of them. They can either sit inside their own base, get that bird back up, and take another neutral dance around the Fire Giant, or the better of the 2 options, I'm thinking, group up as 5, start pushing that left-hand side. Play where the enhanced minion wave is, and just find your pressure there. Yeah. Niflheim Wargs seems like they were curious about that style of play, thinking maybe the Gilded Gladiators were thinking along the same lines as I was. Group up inside the left side jungle.
Dazer. Oh no, Dazer.
All right.
He'll give the rampage over to Worst Turtle, and you will not get a 5-man enhanced Fire Giant. Gilded Gladiators just won't happen. Toddy respawns just as Dazer dies. And the Wargs should have still a decent push opportunity here. Left side Phoenix is going to respawn shortly. Just need a little bit of damage to take that back down. And who's got the enhanced FG? Feels like the Wargs the ones playing with momentum.
Still enhanced Fire Giant on 3 members, though. Lestimix, Mass Kill, and Sap 7. We know what Sap 7 damage output looks like. He's already at 56,000. Mass Kill, with that double kill in the last engagement around this mid-Phoenix, has proven to me that this Hun bots has got the DPS and the burst potential that the Niflheim Wargs need to be cautious of.
Dharmic Pillars push back the Gilded Gladiators from the mid lane. Phoenix with Stimmix.
Slow.
Waiting on that ultimate to come back. Days are still 25 seconds away. Such a long respawn timer.
It was 75 seconds.
Yeah. Beefy. You don't often see that on supports, but we got there here in 49 minutes. We're going to cross the 50-minute threshold here shortly.
This might be the first time I've seen a support this year finish their build.
Honestly.
It very well could be. Ever since the TTK changes, at least.
Yeah. No, I think that's fair.
And I don't remember when he got there. He could have just got there for all I know.
You might have. I don't know. Void Stone's not that expensive.
It isn't. It is crazy that he's got a Void Stone, though. That is astounding to me. It's just such low defense stats. And Dazer is not a part of the burst. At this point in the game, like, you're not really the reason somebody's dying outside of your CC. I think he might have just been better suited with, like, a Mantle of Discord. Imagine he's got a 5-man stun instead of dying earlier.
Yeah, that's a valid point. But damage, Myth, but damage.
Yeah, no, I'm with you. He doesn't want to get outdone by Ollie.
Well, he's getting outdone by Ollie. 1 Dharmic Pillars is doing enough. As now the Gilded Gladiators with what should be the last few seconds of their enhanced Fire Giant, attempting to siege the left side Phoenix. Dharmic Pillars used, and there's more damage for Ollie. Sad for Dazer, falling a bit further behind in that category.
He won't let that go unanswered. No shot.
No, we're dashing in. We're ulting immediately. God, this game just balanced on a knife edge. As left side Phoenix respawns for the Gilded Gladiators. Map state back to equal. One team fight makes all the difference in the world. Dazer in first, uses the mez, doesn't find anyone. Loses half of his health bar in the meantime. A lot of it's got to come down to Worst Turtle as well at 8-1 and 5. The Kali has made a big difference. And we will disengage once more. And on to the next Enhanced Fire Giant we go.
Bro, Dazer walked up, yawned in the middle of the Phoenix, connected with nobody, hit him with the I'm not feeling so good, Mr. Stark, and just walked out of there, bro. Phoenix took like one auto attack, and the Gilded Gladiator said, look, we're going to need another Fire Giant before we show up here again. So it is a reset back to neutral, and I mean neutral. Last Fire Giant was at least separated by this left side Phoenix.
He's going to walk in. He's going to walk into all 5 and die.
No, he's got mez.
He's toast.
He didn't
what
see
just
him.
happened? He didn't see him. Listemix is going to be the one that ends up getting jumped on. Big ultimate out of Listemix. Dazer does end up finding the backline, but so does the Dharmic Pillars from the Niflheim Wargs.
Oh my God.
Last kill melts down some damage. Epic uppercut onto one. Tori has found the Hunbats. Listemix snags one as well, but the Gilded Gladiators able to answer back effectively. Kha'Zix being melted through Worst Turtle can be all the difference now for the Niflheim Wargs.
2 for 2.
That's Listemix ends up dropping. Toddy and Dazer both low. Airstrike confirms 1 kill. Dazer's got to dash away. Could this be the game-ending fight? That's Worst Turtle looking for the chase down onto the Kumbhakarna. And Zap is low as well. This is not easy. This is not free. And we will disengage a 3-for-2 trade as the Enhanced Fire Giant spawns up.
That was a fully channeled Fear No Evil onto Itori, who survived it, by the way. He was stuck against a wall, flailing his arms, screaming like a chicken with his head cut off, and he just lives. Worst Turtle lines up against Sap 7, realizes that Sap 7's got 67,000 damage, and he doesn't want to be another 1,000 to finish off his own life, so will survive. Oh, Destruction? That had to have just come back up. There's no way he had it.
Worst Turtle would have won that fight.
Oh, for sure.
Right?
He's death immune. Yeah. He's immune to the thing that Sap 7's trying to do.
Okay, right. But there's more nuance to it than that.
I'm not sure that there is.
It's not a game-long death immunity. Need some of that death immunity right now. Can Dazer get it done here? No, he can't.
Void Stone?
Watch the Void Stone makes all the difference on that fight. Spudio sending out some damage towards Sap and Dazer. Look, we're at 53 minutes.
We sure are.
I am desperate to go an hour at this point, right? Just go
Might as well.
Just go the extra 7. And if these two teams take as long as they have been around the Enhanced Fire Giant, we may very well get there. But in our first set of this EUSCC Thursday, we have gone 53 minutes, 30 of it staring at the Enhanced Fire Giant, but it could come to a close here quickly. Listemix looking for a Tori. Oh, this is a replay. My computer is covering the replay. I thought we were fighting right now.
Are you serious?
I thought we were fighting. I was like, how did this suddenly start? What in the world happened?
Well, how did we get here?
I don't know, man. My brain melted. That's my fault. I didn't notice the little replay guy up there. Imagine I cast that.
Finally, some separation in the team fight. This one is no longer a replay, Dave. I'll be here for you. The Niflheim Wargs and the Gilded Gladiators vying and jockeying for position. Dazer walks in, yawns, connects with nobody, hits him with a I'm not feeling so good, Mr. Stark, and disengages yet again.
All right.
No more Marvel?
No. Well, I mean, yeah, probably no, but I don't know. I actually don't know if we go another 5 minutes.
Well, whoever gets this next team fight, if anyone's going like 2 for 0 or 3 for 0 at this point, it's just game.
Dazer walks in, yawns, gets nobody. I'm not feeling so good as Tori melts down the health bar. Final Judgment canceled out, but Dazer silenced through, and he may end up going down. Dazer into the passive. Got to be a kill here for the Niflheim Wargs, and it is. Gilded Gladiators lose their support, but Listemix is low in the meantime. Listemix, what are you looking for? No, you stuck around for too long. And the second kill of the fight over the Niflheim Wargs. Now Sap 7 being airstruck on by Spudio. The most lopsided fight we've had all game long, and the Wargs have finally broken it open. Surely this is how the game ends. And the Wargs find 3, and the Enhanced Fire Giant will live to watch the Titan fall.
Mass kill halfway back to his ultimate, still has Blink and Beads. If he can connect with Worst Turtle, that's a guaranteed kill. If he can connect with Spudio, that's a guaranteed kill. Halfway. Fear No Evil could keep the game alive. Only a quarter left on that ultimate.
We are 55 minutes into game one. We've got at least one more. After this, the Dharmic Pillars through from Ali. At this point in the game, the Titan is going to melt down pretty quickly. Toddy has got to deal a lot of damage here on the right side of this fight.
It's up.
Respawn timer's far too long.
Missed.
Worst Turtle up and over. Toddy rooted in place and melted down. Trades back one, but it's Ali. And this game will come to a close in 56 minutes. Worst Turtle ends the game with a double kill and a 10-1 KDA.
The Niflheim Wargs in a elongated battle that started, I would argue, at the 21-minute mark. That's when we grouped up on the first Fire Giant. First Fire Giant goes down at the 43-minute mark,
enhanced, right?
I believe. That was a back-and-forth tug-of-war of a game. And if it's any indicator for the rest of this set, man, we are in for a treat. This is a very close matchup.
And you know what's interesting in this matchup is it actually wasn't like super slow paced in those first. I mean, like the junglers were getting active. There was some team fighting happening. I mean, it wasn't like overwhelming kills.
No, not at all.
But this game extended. It went long because there was just no full commitment to a team fight, no full commitment to the Fire Giant, and we just and that's where it wasn't this like chess piece moving style of game. It was around the Fire Giant, but like the early game. Just wasn't like that. Both teams getting active, slow things down. 56 minutes. Game number one, we come to a close. Game number two, could it bring the same level of drama? You gotta stick around and find out.
Cerberus needs a new toy. Yes. I'm on it. Note to self, bring home bones of enemies for Cerberus to chew upon.
A cat's life is hard. You should always pamper them.
No. Excellent. This will do. Thanks.
Wanted to get it right, trying to find some balance in my life. I never really put up a fight, and now I'm losing sleep. What if I lost touch? What if I'll never get it right? I try to follow my heart, but I lost it somehow. Wish that someone could say it'll all be okay. Just listen to me as I say. Listen to me as I slow it down. Dreams still yours if you want it. Enjoy the ride, 'cause those ups and those downs is what makes it worth it. Slow it down. Dreams still yours if you want it. Enjoy the ride, 'cause those ups and those downs is what makes it worth it. I never left a stone unturned.
you miss it, game number 1 goes 56 minutes. I didn't use that right. And the Niflheim Wargs able to grab game number 1. Oh, I didn't break you. I thought I was going to. It wasn't that good of a bit. I'm sorry. It was bad.
I'm heat. I'm
I don't know what
locked
that
in.
means. Niflheim Wargs able to find their win in game number 1, but it
not
takes a hefty fire giant standoff and a couple of important kills in a team fight where the fire giant didn't even end up dying by the end of that game. And if you can for me, think back to the first 20 minutes of that game. The panic in your eyes.
Please.
And what I was trying to say that you then clowned me for is that it was actually somewhat active between these two teams. You know, there's plenty of farming going on, of course.
Well, let's
but
get a look.
But the junglers were staying active early in this game. And so, I mean, look, right around here, you know, a 13 kill in 26 minutes, that's not like a horrible pace.
That's
I mean,
about par for the course
That's
nowadays.
a decent pace for a game. And yeah, right, when Toddy dies here, and we go back to the fire giant, we're staring at it for a little while. And so some team fighting happening. Worst Turtle does end up really standing out here. Is very, very important. Ollie had a great support game. Tori does immense amounts of damage. I think really, this is one that it just comes down to the pick at the end of the game, right? The first team to lose somebody with the death timers as long as they were kind of got snowballed on in that final fight. That's what gives the Wargs the win.
Yeah, anytime a game goes this long, the discussion has to be about play on field, right? It's not about which one of these compositions scale harder, because if that were the case, we would have had a clearer look at the 30-minute mark once everybody was full build. It's not about who had the better early game, because if it were, we'd be talking about the early game kills. If a game is going 55 some odd minutes, it really just is, hey, we saw a hero play a phenomenal connection with an ultimate, or someone just got picked out of position, or a great objective steal. And this time around, it was the team fight that separates these two teams, and you got to give credit over to the guy who can go 55 minutes with only dying once while simultaneously picking up 11 kills for himself. Worst Turtle has a phenomenal performance, as you would expect from a colleague, given that amount of space and that amount of time to operate. Multiple times in these team fights, it's Beads still up, Magi's burnt by Fear No Evil, so Maskill has to use his own ultimate, essentially just to burn off an item from Worst Turtle. This colleague just found immense pressure and immense value.
45,000 damage for Worst Turtle, but mid laners go crazy here. 64,000 for a Tori. Sap really pulls ahead actually at the end of that game. Both mids were pretty close going into that final fight. About 9,000 ahead is where Sap ends up, despite the losing effort. And that's why I like the call of play on field here, because it really feels like all of that damage, all of that poke damage was the Thoth hitting its targets, the Baba Yaga hitting its targets, and the health bars just being too low to fight after the fact. So I think both mid laners hitting their mark around the fire giant, and that dragged things out to 56 minutes. If you're just tuning in now, we're heading into picks and bans for game number 2
of set 1
of
week 3 of phase 2 of the European SEC.
You were I thought you were going to slow down, and you actually sped up there towards the end.
I was figuring it out.
You said it, you were confident with it, and you rolled with it. Whatever you said, I'm going to assume it's right. We are going to go into picks and bans for game 2 between the Gladiators and the Wargs. Remember, both of these teams an 0-2 start to their phase here in the EU SEC, so the Wargs would love a game 2 win here. Grab a win in the win column and move on to next week. After a game like that, I'm trying to determine if there are individual god bans that you now feel like you have to take away.
Maybe like Kali.
Yeah,
maybe
maybe.
Thoth.
But neither of those are going to get banned out by the Gilded Gladiators here. And in fact, it's the Wargs who are going to take away the Baba Yaga. 73,000 damage does make some sense. Jingwei is going to go over to the Gilded Gladiators this time.
So you could look towards things like the Yamoja for a Guardian selection on the Wargs. If you think the game's going to be about finding those picks, Kepri has been a phenomenal plug-and-play Guardian. Ganesh, I'm not going to argue against it, man. Ollie was connecting some really good ultimates throughout that game, but you toss out 100 ultimates, at least 30 of them are going to be really, really good, and Ollie does exactly that in game 1. No arguments from the Ganesh. That silence as well in those late-game team fights really did find the separation and the opportunities to finish off some of those kills. Looking at the drafts as they stand, I said so in game 1. I'll say it again here in game 2. I think you should expect another long match. Heimdall going to take some time to scale up. Very hard for junglers to get involved against him. Same can be said of Jingwei. Both really slanted towards that late game. That's not to say that there aren't opportunities to get involved early on. Ganesh has got some pretty decent CC lockdown. Once his ultimate ticks over level 5, you really are able to start looking towards those objectives, but we didn't see the first objective looked at until around that 20-minute mark. Cucullin going to act as a solo agent over the Soulmate. He might be able to just run back the deaths from the first segment.
Well, you know, it's the same picks. They're just kind of swapping teams here. Jingwei for the Gilded Gladiators. Heimdall goes over to the Wargs. Cucullin will stick around here, but Kali, the main difference here for Masskill and the Gilded Gladiators, Worst Turtle rather, is going to have to play something else. Thoth sticks around. And so you're going to have this late game poke damage. You're going to have the late game chainsaw on the Kali. I do wonder where the Gilded Gladiators end up going out of mid here, because you're going to want something that scales up nicely. Merlin certainly does that. And then jungle as well for the Wargs. Those are going to have to be the two big differences here in this matchup. And the Kumbhakarna. Apparently the Kumbhakarna myth, enough of an impact to warrant a ban here in game 2.
Yeah, I wonder if banning Kumbhakarna is just inadvertently going to buff them, right? Like, maybe you're just saying, oh, Kumbha's banned,
what are you trying to say?
Capri. Oh, Kumbha's banned, I got Yamoja. You know what I mean? Like, there are great options out there. So maybe the Wargs are calling the bluff. Yamoja, in particular, one of the hardest to play gods in the entirety of Smite. Could be that the Gladiators aren't super comfortable playing around that pick just yet. I think we'll get a good idea of that and whether or not they select it for themselves here, as Kleena will be the 4th selection overall for the Warg. So again, some more objective DPS. Between Ganesh and Kleena, you're slamming Gold Furies. You are decimating Pyromancers, Fire Giants, all easy. You're not concerned about any sort of objective steal just yet. Thoth, one of the hardest hitting abilities in the game from that Final Judgment, should be able to secure these objectives. And with Tiamat now rounding out the draft for the Gladiators, you know for a fact there's 0 steal potential. I'm liking this draft from the Wargs. If they can find an early lead and just start working on those objectives, that's one way to find some separation early on.
All right, so looks like Kleena solo myth, and then Loki for the first time in the EU SEC out of the jungle. Haven't seen much Loki. Are we excited about the viability of this pick?
I like Loki a lot. I feel like Loki really can work out. With Bumba's Hammer, he's one of the best utilizers of Bumba's Hammer. You're able to just auto-cancel with that Vanish, the second ability, instant-cancel the Flurry Strikes in the late game, get those cooldowns all available to you. Really good at utilizing the hi-rez as well. So Loki's got the opportunity to be that 1v1 god, just not against Kali. Anytime in the late game Loki meets eyes with Kali, he's just going to die.
Well, after a 56-minute game number 1, we will make our way into game 2 between the Gilded Gladiators and the Niflheim Wargs. Again, just by draft, seems postured towards a game that'll go into a big Fire Giant fight at some point here, Myth. But again, the first 20 minutes of game 1 weren't necessarily slow. It just took a bit of commitment around the Fire Giant to finally get that objective knocked down. Do you think with these slight changes to these team comps, and now I know you mentioned the Wargs and they might have better shred, things like that this game. If you were the Wargs, and you're not.
And I'm not.
But if you were the Wargs, you probably would have steamrolled down a Fire Giant earlier in that game anyway.
We're winning or losing at that 25-minute mark.
But with this composition, are you feeling better about earlier Fire Giants than you were maybe in game 1?
100%. I mean, the objective burn is just so important. That's not to say that they could just do it, right? Like, it's not a Nike ad. You're not just able to walk in. You have to find that separation first. You have to find that pick, but the opportunity to find those picks, incredibly high. This Loki should be able to get involved pretty early on. The second he ticks over to level 5, has got some great targets. On the side of the Gilded Gladiators, in particular, Toddy GR will likely, in response to being hit by Loki out of Vanish, just immediately go into that airstrike, assassinate. A great chase down tool in that situation. Even Lestemics, to a certain extent, will likely be using Salmon Leap to clear the wave. If that's the case, Worst Turtle can get involved there. I like the odds of the Niflheim Wargs around those fights. But again, it always comes down to play on field and who's able to get those leads early on.
Right. Yeah, the playmaking potential for both of these teams, I think, pretty high going into this matchup. We've seen some really exciting Loki plays over the years. Kali, some good moments in game number 1. Lestemics, I think, even in a loss, deserves some credit for his game 1 performance. I think the Cucullin found some decent initiations, good knockups, just wasn't available, wasn't followed up on super heavily by the rest of the Gladiators when that damage did connect. Wonder how Kha'Zix ends up building here in this game. I feel like when we see Kleena solo, I don't know, have we seen like bruisery style builds? I was gonna say it's mostly damage. Trying trying to think if we've seen her build into things like the Glad Shield, but to hold that thought, could it be a 2-minute first blood? Masskill jumps out and gets away, and Sap 7 will do the same. But Worst Turtle with a health advantage, maybe considering a jungle invade instead. First blood still goes searching in the first couple minutes.
We have seen Kleena go for slight bruiser style builds. I'm thinking like movement speed infused items like Witchblade isn't crazy on a Kleena, but otherwise the majority of her survivability is going to come from that Soul Eater in the first slot. It's that sustain in the team fight, the ability to just like walk up to a wave, scream at it, and completely resustain as Masskill blinks in, attempting the blue buff invade, unsuccessful, and nearly completely I had assumed we'd see a bit more chase potential there. Again, Masskill had no mana for abilities. He's inside the blue buff. He doesn't have beads. He blinked in. You've got two people there.
These teams don't like chasing.
That's true, but like that's not a chase. He delivered himself.
He prime delivered himself.
That's right. Any primers in the chat? Please sub.
Yeah, please sub. Gilded Gladiators playing with the slightest of deficits. We're 3 minutes in already.
Slight.
So slight. Lestemic's got some value out of the Stona Gaia, I think, in game number 1. Go for it again here in game 2. Suppose if nothing else, the knock-up from Ali on the stun provides a little bit of value in the Stona Gaia, so if he's initiating into the Ganesh, he'll receive some good healing. And you'll need it, right? I mean, later on in this game, Atori, Spudia, we know how much damage those two characters are going to do. Let's talk about this Tiamat a bit, though, Miff, because one of the picks we didn't see in game number 1, and not a pick we really see all that often. Feels like now it's like that catch-all style of pick. You know, it's still there, not heavily prioritized in picks and bans, but you know what you're getting with the Tiamat. Scales pretty nicely, has big potential, and just kind of does it all.
Yeah, I'm thinking the conversation around Tiamat and P's and B's for these players is, man, we need a mage. We need someone that does magic damage, and Tiamat just happens to be available more often than not, as she's not that high up on the priority order. She's got decent damage, her burst potential pretty high, chain CC high as well. Spudio, this could be it.
He's going to crash down into Dharmic Pillars. Dazer, silence, but jumps out.
This could be
and it's up to Ali
to
deal the last bit of damage, and it ain't it. And again, First Blood will escape. I thought surely an ultimate into the Dharmic Pillars would have been enough. Silence on the other end as well. Just not enough. And blue buff invaded successfully by the Gilded Gladiators as Masskill rotates on over towards the right side of the map and gets the ball rolling a bit. Soul Eater completed first and foremost for Kha'Zix. Once that transforms, great stat stick of an item. And I think Kleena could be a big difference maker here in this game as well, especially if you start to go a bit longer and you're dancing around the fire giant, you're on the right side of the jungle. The ability to get in the walls and kind of disrupt the flow of those moments could be something Kha'Zix is able to do later in this game.
At risk of dragging the conversation back an entire minute, but I think I've got time to do it, as you could tell from this preamble. What just happened to Worst Turtle is one of my pet peeves as a jungler, and maybe chat, feel free to have a discussion about this as well. When you're jungling and you're defending your soul laner's blue buff, and you're there and your soul laner isn't, it is the worst feeling on the planet. Because me as a jungler, I've got zero attachment to that buff.
Yeah, right. I'm here for you.
I'm here for you, man. The least you can do is be here for you as well. But he wasn't. So Kha'Zix loses out on the blue, and my boy Worst Turtle loses out on the farm.
It's a tale as old as time. You can only help someone
who wants to help
themselves.
Yep.
You know, Kha'Zix clearly was so uninvested in that blue buff. It's only so much Worst Turtle can do.
Fair enough.
Kha'Zix has to go back to base now. You know, I don't know. Can only do so much as a jungler, right? Woe is me. It's the story of the junglers nowadays. But we've given you a platform now, Miff, with a 56-minute game 1. And a slower start here to game number 2 to just spew the jungle propaganda. And I'm not here for it. I'm going to call you on it.
There's no propaganda. Jungles are, like, not that good. They're, like, not that good, bro. We need
Worst
buffs.
Turtle ended game 1 at 10-1.
11-1. First off.
I undercut it.
And secondly, Worst Turtle's nuts, all right? Jungles can not be good, but there can be good players in the jungle.
Hey, guess who is here around this blue buff? Kha'Zix and Ali trying to defend the blue buff, and it still stands. The Dharmic Pillars will be used, but very early on in this fight. It's a 3 versus 3. Kha'Zix saves the damage, but unsuccessful, and blue buff stolen away yet again. And there's no Dharmic Pillars for the chase down, but Dazer will get rooted in place, has to transform, buy some time. Silence, Final Judgment, all of it. Flies into Dazer and a stun as well, but Dazer lives. Now Listemics transforms, chasing down the Niflheim Wargs. As a rotation from the mid lane is here from Sap. Ollie rooted and stunned, and surely the support will go down, and the Gilded Gladiators have found first blood, and their second blue buff invade of the game.
Yeah, just not the greatest target selection for the Niflheim Wargs. Just everybody trying to finish off that kill onto Dazer. Probably not going to happen. Dazer doesn't have to use the relic.
Hit him with the one time.
Uses his beads to Spuddy out the 1v1. He does, but not the kill. Airstrike so good on the defense as Masskill goes for yet another invade.
And Masskill will be successful yet again. Worst Turtle stunned, and destruction out from Masskill. Would love to get the burst heal off of Worst Turtle. Just needs a little bit more, but enough root and lockdown from Ollie prevents the jump through. Worst Turtle reinitiates Masskill, though, turns around the damage, and Worst Turtle hands over a full heal to the Kali. Tori rotates out of mid, while Dazer continuing to be chased down. And I think Dazer realizing he's not under all that much threat. So one more kill to the Gilded Gladiators. A 2-kill start for Masskill, and when have we seen this before, Miff? A 2-0 start for a Kali at the 8-minute mark.
Last game?
It was last game,
Oh, nice. Just making sure. Not a massive separation, though. Quote me
We're
from
even.
last game. But, like, I'm thinking the net worth probably not that crazy different, 5,000, as opposed to the I'm looking for him. Where's my boy Loki? Literal bottom of the chart. 600. It's about 700 gold separating these two guys. That is actually pretty significant at the 8-minute mark.
That is
something.
the gold lead.
Yeah, that's something you got to be concerned about as Worst Turtle. But
Where's my boy
looking
Loki
at
on
the
way to
builds, he's got Transcendence, so he's scaling either way.
Sorry, the timing of that moment just really. Where's my boy? He's all the way at the bottom of the net worth charts. Got a lot of his jungle stolen away. Looks like another blue buff just went over to Listemics. Just been tough for Kha'Zix and the right side of the map. So a 1-level lead in both solo and jungle. Why not throw mid and support in there as well? That's an XP lead for the Gilded Gladiators, but a bit behind is Toddy. As Spudio has pulled a 1-level lead on the Heimdall. So definite stacking time now for the Niflheim Wargs. Of course, Transcendence for Worst Turtle. Kha'Zix has already stacked up his Soul Eater. Charon's coin, you gotta do that with fighting, though. So Tori would like it if some fight is brought to his doorstep. And another Spirit Robe here for Ollie. That has been like the catch-all item for supports, it's felt like here recently, Miff. You just get so much value out of that. The mitigations feel so strong. And so, you know, we've still seen Thebes pretty popularized. Like a Sovereignty for Dazer is first and foremost here in this game. But I feel like at the SPL level especially, a lot of Spirit Robe starts for our supports.
Just defense both ways that you don't need to stack up. It's pretty similar to Gauntlet of Thebes when stats fully stacked, CDR on top of it. But it's that passive that really is the difference maker. Anytime you're affected by hard CC, you're getting additional damage mitigations from Spirit Robe. So who's starting the fight onto Ollie? Masskill with a stun, Listemics with a knockup, Saf 7 with a stun, Dazer with a stun, Toddy GR with a knockup, all going to proc that passive, all making it that much more difficult to shut down Ollie, who's got inherent protections built into the kit, by the way. Every time he's screaming Ohm at his opposition, he's built up some defense not only for himself, but all of his allies nearby. I like to call the silence from Ganesh just better bolster defense. It's just the better version of what Ares has got. Only difference is that Ares can do other stuff while he's channeling that defense.
Ollie with some of the CDR that Spirit Robe provides. 10% of it. Will hope to defend this blue buff as another blue buff invade for the Gilded Gladiators is taken by Ollie. And Kha'Zix will finally grab a blue buff. Gilded Gladiators send jungle and support. And so do the Niflheim Wargs. And Kha'Zix finally comes up with one. I think kind of needed, right, mentally, to finally get one of those blue buffs for the Niflheim Wargs.
Just a little bit of CDR, some mana sustain, 1v1.
Spudio is low. Toddy airstrikes away. Worst Turtle ruins the 1v1, though. And Spudio will live. Toddy was feeling comfortable, but comfortable no further. As finally Loki now on the board. Both junglers have made an impact early in this game. Look, I love it from both of these ADCs, Spudio and Toddy, not being afraid to scrap with one another. Unfortunately, this time, the Loki, and of course it's a Loki, right, ruining the 1v1, gets a kill over for the Niflheim Wargs.
Yeah, Spudio had lost that 1v1. Auto attack's just a little bit more clean from Toddy as Dazer gets active yet again on the map. Red buff invade attempt, but it's a 4-man stack from the Wargs.
Whoa, mass kill silenced. Has to jump away into the Dharmic Pillars, but will take the damage and walk on out. So will Dazer on the transform and jump out. And red buff confirmed at least for the Niflheim Wargs, and Atori be able to pick that up. And so the Gilded Gladiators, Myth, yes, very active with these buff invades. Been very active around the blue, very active around the red. And that's, I mean, to be fair, the first couple maybe catch the Wargs off guard. But now the Wargs, you know, are aware that that's going to be happening and are able to answer in kind. And the last couple of buffs have been confirmed by the team they belong to.
But it's been strange, right? Like, I'm looking at this composition from the Gilded Gladiators. I'm thinking late game scaling, team fight presence. And instead, it's been a lot of early game presence from this team. Spudio, he's behind him. Are they winning a coin toss? Looks like it.
Talk about early game. Gold Fury taken down by the Gilded Gladiators as Spudio takes the Bifrost out. And so the biggest gold lead we've seen in this set so far as we hung out around 1,000 or even for the first 20 or 30 minutes of game one. Though Toddy could be caught out yet again. Should be a kill. And it is, but are you trading back one? Worst Turtle out of the Dharmic Pillars. Dazer just needs a bit more damage.
Blink.
Mass kill, blinks forward, double stun. That's why you want Blink on the Kali, the ability to get in, initiate a bit stronger. Spudio stunned in place. Mass kill uses his jumps. Bifrost, they're not ready to go, and a stun connects onto Mass kill, who's now got to leave as well. And so good damage returning here from the Niflheim Wargs. They've already lost their jungler. Can they at least pull back one? Looks like Dazer will be able to survive, but Atori has final judgment. Let it fly. No, he won't. Destruction used by Maskill.
Maskill holds on to that ultimate for so long, man. Those were very thin margins. Had Spudio had one more minion near Maskill, the splash damage from these thrown axes would have finished him off. But Maskill, realizing he doesn't need to use it that early in the fight, holds on to it until that very last second. And even then, maybe could have waited until he heard the channeled ultimate from Itori, but will use it just to maintain his own life, and I think better to have than to have not and needed it. So the Gilded Gladiators find themselves with a significant gold lead. It took 42 minutes in game one for us to see a lead this large, and it's happened at the 14-minute mark in game two, the opposite direction. The Gilded Gladiators getting that scaling online very early and having removed the gold free from the map. Now the Wargs, who had the superior objective-based composition between Ganesh, between Kleena, between the objective secure of Itori, would have liked to have been the ones aggressing on the gold free, no longer an option for them. Instead, could play around the Pyromancer, which is the side of the map that should favor the Wargs, as that's where Kha'Zix resides. But even then, with all these blue buff invades, Kha'Zix gonna have a hard time rotating towards that Pyro. Lastimic's getting the better end of that lane.
Yep. It really is so similar to game one, where both the junglers are the majority, in this case, all of the kills. 3 for Mass Kill, 2 for Worst Turtle. And we've seen both styles of play from both junglers, proactivity, reactivity. The proactivity from Worst Turtle on the 2v1 over on the left, proactivity from Mass Kill and Dazer, all these buff invades. But those have slowed down now, as Kha'Zix and Atori able to pick up their buffs quietly. Worst Turtle again, though, putting pressure towards Toddy. Anything you can do to slow down the scaling of this Jingwei is going to feel good if you're the Niflheim Warg, especially if it also means allowing Spudio to get a bit further ahead on the Heimdall. And that's exactly what the Wargs need at this point in the game. Down a couple thousand gold, down some levels. At least have a lane that feels like it's going comfortably, and right now it's the duo lane.
Meanwhile, the Pyromancer has been pulled out on the right side of the map. Seems like Kha'Zix not privy to it just yet. Should have seen some presence now. Dharmic Pillars extended. Now Ollie forced to disengage. That should spell the end of this fight, but the Gilded Gladiators are still incredibly healthy. If they continue to put pressure on this Pyromancer, will force the Wargs forward.
This is Worst Turtle into the Fire Giant Pit. Meets up with Kha'Zix. Pyromancer getting lower. Frenzy gets used. You gotta confirm it now. And the Gilded Gladiators are able to do so. So
wild.
Of the early neutral objectives to the Gilded Gladiators, it actually needed it. There's a slight downswing in gold, just a couple hundred. But when the gold lead is only a couple thousand, a couple hundred, actually makes a bit of a difference there on the gold charts. And so Pyromancer spikes it right back towards up. In what world was that? No, that sounds harsh. In what aspect do you think that was wild?
Itori's got a super long range, like 50 cal snipe that he could have just sent down the Pyromancer's way because there was no frontline presence from the Gilded Gladiators. They had all folded back onto the objective. And then I look up and Itori's soloing a red buff. Just thought he could have been there to at least make that more interesting.
Itori may be getting soloed out now, as an airstrike is going to have to get used by the Jingwei. Worst Turtle has just been relentless over on the left side of the map. Not letting Toddy farm up comfortably. Beads gets used, airstrike used. I mean, both of them just feel like on cooldown. Toddy has got to be careful because Worst Turtle has been making his way to the left side of the map as often as he can. Tier 1 goes down early in this game. Took a little while in game 1. The Gilded Gladiators with enough pressure in mid, 2 levels by the way. Sap 7 is up over Atori. Is able to give the Gilded Gladiators their first tower of the game and extending out that gold lead a bit further. Bit different in the mid lane builds this time. Charon's coin for both, but in different orders. And different flat pen for both mid laners. Sap hoping that the anti-heal will help out. Will help out with Kha'Zix. And Atori, more cooldown mindset with a Spear of Desolation. But Sap has got some good burst here, Myth. Good power spike for Sap out of mid. The Soul Gem as well. So that's an area of this game where the Gilded Gladiators might be able to fight around.
And Sap's going to find more value than you might think from this Divine Ruin, just at initial glance. Looking at Spudio, Sap may have lucked out there. Aussie in the second slot going to be mitigated by Divine Ruin, as well as all this lifesteal from Kha'Zix.
Dazer takes the initial bit of damage as the Gilded Gladiators have pulled the Primal Fury early, and it's quickly burning. Dazer jumps on Kha'Zix, heal awaiting. If Maskill can find the kill on Ollie, and it needed to happen as a final judgment nearly kills off Maskill. But the heal was enough. Now Atori has enough damage to force the Kali to jump up and over the wall, but Maskill blinks back on a Spudio, who stays alive in this fight, and it's not bad from the Niflheim Wargs. They're able to at least pull 2. Atori disengaging from Dazer. And a 2-for-1 trade actually could get worse, and it does. It ends up being a 2-for-2 trade. But Sap now getting run down. The Niflheim Wargs have just stuck around.
Good stun.
And it's up to Kha'Zix to make waves.
Kha'Zix forced to use the beads, but now has a wall between him and his target. Good CC from Listemics. Buys even more time. Sap 7 goes for a bit of a lazy back, but just keeps Kha'Zix around, but has just enough HP to get into that wall. And with Soul Eater, should be able to resustain a fair bit here. Crazy peel from the Gilded Gladiators, Listemics, and Dazer, putting in all the work to keep Sap 7 alive. But at the end of the day, it is a wash around the Gold Fury, very reminiscent of what we saw throughout the entirety of Game 1. That was around the Fire Giant, on the other hand. And that's exactly what I was talking about earlier when I thought it was wild that we saw minimal presence from the Niflheim Wargs around the Pyromancer. They have got great presence in these jungle team fights. Their composition so well suited to keep the Gilded Gladiators away from these objectives. The Gladiators realize it's not a coin toss you want to take. If the objective is low and there's nothing separating the Wargs, it's almost always going to go to the Wargs just by nature of Itori, just by nature of the burst potential of Kha'Zix, or even the Assassinate from Worst Turtle. So I like to see this more proactive playstyle from the Wargs where they're at least showing presence around these objectives.
I agree.
Gold Fury still stands, and that's more than you can say for the last couple Pyromancers, so a great move from the Wargs.
I agree. Gold lead not that out of control yet, though Maskill has kept up the pace. Hasten Katana, as well as the chin size. If you got a lot of health, you better watch out. Maskill is going to melt down that health bar very, very quickly in these fights, though we have seen good peel, as you mentioned, Myth. That has kept this Kali just a bit slower in these fights. I wonder how 1v1s later on in this game will look between Maskill and Worst Turtle. Should be some fun to watch between those two characters. And Worst Turtle now is going to meet 1 against 1 against Maskill, and Worst Turtle ends up disengaging from that fight, and the Gilded Gladiators do the same around the Fury.
Worst Turtle might have a lead, but not in the 1v1 up against Maskill. Losing the Assassinate before the fight proper is a major loss for the Niflheim Wargs. Now the Gilded Gladiators in a position yet again where they could just back up and pull out that Primal Fury instead. They've got their eyes on a more important objective. Presence around the Tier 2, it's just Ollie on the defense. This might just go down.
Dharmic Pillars used by Ollie and actually get some good value. A couple members of the Gilded Gladiators walking through. Big silences from Kha'Zix. Maskill low. Maskill doesn't use the destruction and dies to Kha'Zix. And the Gilded Gladiators have lost their strongest member early in this fight. Now you've got to leave if you're the Gilded Gladiators. Toddy agrees, air strikes out. Kha'Zix has the ability to chase this down. All of the low health bars are all the carries of the Gilded Gladiators. Listimics stunned and knocked up, and will not get taken down. And the Wargs, looks like they won't be tower diving, but do have eyes for the Fury.
Worst Turtle just playing way too passive in that fight. Goes into the stealth, hovers in the jungle. I suppose checking if anybody's hiding there, but had he just connected one auto attack, Listimics is dead.
Ollie nearly was dead as well, but the Niflheim Wargs able to get a kill on a mass kill and grab themselves the Fury, and that has shrunk the gold lead right back down to 1,000. Was over 3,000 for the Gilded Gladiators, but a nice fight from the Wargs. Gets the gold close to even, and actually pulls the experience pretty far ahead. That was a good fight from Kha'Zix as well, playing around those walls so effectively. It's a 1-level lead in both solo and jungle, and then a 1-level lead over an ADC as well for the Wargs. So the Gladiators playing so well around the buffs and the early Pyromancers, but it looks like the Wargsmith have just fought a bit better, even though there's only been one kill here or there over the last 2 team fights.
I wonder how different that team fight starts to unfold had Masskill just pressed 4. Had he just been death immune, likely would have been able to disengage a little bit easier. Still probably would have fallen, but likely wouldn't have lost the Fury at least. But instead, maintains his ultimate and his blink, so should be able to get involved yet again. But with the game equalized as it is, now the Niflheim Wargs, for the first time this game, from a nearly even state, can start to leverage their composition for what we had assumed during P's and P's was the stratagem. Group up, go to the Pyromancer, go to the Fire Giant, try and force team fights there. Because otherwise it's been the Gilded Gladiators doing it first every single time. And that seems to be the case time and time again. 23 minutes in, it's the Gilded Gladiators on the Pyromancer, taking it with 0 opposition from the Niflheim Wargs and with 0 dedicated abilities, really. No ultimates expended for that, nothing. Just a clean objective, better map presence from the Order side.
So if the Niflheim Wargs have it their way, they'll grab themselves another pick to slow down the Gilded Gladiators early enough in the game that the Trebuchets still making a bit of a difference. One helped out pushing out the solo lane just a moment ago. It's a Final Judgment that flies in. Dazer's like Mantle of Discord ends up getting popped early on in this fight. It's damage out from Kha'Zix, sap 7. See some low health targets, and there you go, mass kill. Opens things up with a kill in mid. Ollie is the target. Would be nice to get that heal if you're mass kill, and mass kill doesn't get it. Dazer gets it, but a bit of sustain anyway. Up and over the wall. No, Worst Turtle is there, and Worst Turtle is waiting. And that is now pulled back a kill. Spudio and Listimics in the meantime fighting out on the left side.
Got his stealth.
Mass kill into the destruction, whirling away as Kha'Zix run down, and the Gilded Gladiators pick up 3.
Worst Turtle at least able to finish off Masskill, so double kill over to the Loki. Bumba's Hammer finished up. Means that he likes his odds in the majority of 1v1s across the map. Surprise as well, Doug, that Spudio's on the left side of the map. Thought maybe he'd try and hover nearby, play around his team, instead completely disengaged. Not concerned, playing for numero uno, I suppose. But we've seen now that this Loki is a massive threat that needs to be dealt with. Even when he's getting his stealth forced out by the stun from Masskill, he's been holding on to this Assassinate just as a repositioning tool. It's been pretty seldom that we've seen him use it for the actual stun, occasionally to finish off a kill, but for the most part, that burst damage of hi-rez plus Bumba's Hammer and the relatively low cooldowns that Loki has got inherently has made him a massive threat in these team fights. There are tools on the Gilded Gladiators that can deal with this Loki, especially now that he's got 2 minutes on those beads coming back up. Next time Masskill locks eyes with them, that's an opportunity for a 1v1 or a stun from Dazer or even a knockup from Toddy. Loki is allowed to do a lot of damage if he's given some space, but it's pretty easy to stop that god. Just got to look at him.
Titan's Bane finished up for Worst Turtle. Big power spike. Masskill is full build at 25 minutes outside of the upgraded starter item. So, it was such a similar story in game 1, wasn't it? The kind of jungle scrapping that was going on. But this time feels like Masskill on the Kali a bit more dynamic, though that's unfair to say because Worst Turtle has really been fighting back in this game very effectively as well. Depends on the team fight, and at 26 minutes we make our way over to the Fire Giant, but this time a bit more committed on by the Gilded Gladiators. Worst Turtle hovering around the back side of the Fire Giant pit. Toddy could be in some trouble. Has beats, has Aegis, but Maskill has found his target. Good damage onto the Kali, forces the destruction. And now both jungle ultimates are down.
I wonder, had Maskill missed the stun there, or was he just holding on to it? Because Worst Turtle does not win the 1v1 unless he kills Maskill before that destruction. Afterward, after he'd already used the Assassinate, there's an opportunity to turn that fight around. Niflheim Wargs, realizing they had found the TKO onto the jungler, will try and pull out the Fire Giant themselves, but presence from the Gilded Gladiators' 4-man core will force them back. Maskill already on the rotation back from his own base, with Blink still maintained, beads coming up in 15 seconds. It really is just the destruction that has gone down, but looking at the CDR, Worst Turtle's ultimate's already back up. We saw how quickly he was able to deal that damage to Kali.
Wow.
Could be that he just goes in and tries to do it all over again.
Yeah, just shred the ultimate off when you can, and then when you get your ultimate back, go in for the 1v1 and actually get the kill this time. Again, that Titan's Bane, very effective. All right, so in game 1, around this time, we hung out around the Fire Giant for about
Don't say it, man.
20 minutes until we finally saw one go down. But also last game we talked about how the Primal Fury was viable, how there were options on the other side of the map that you could go to and break the stalemate that both teams had brought forward. So maybe some adaptations to be made here in this game. As we didn't leave the Fire Giant pit once we looked at it in game 1. At least both teams at this point realizing there's elsewhere on the map to push out, areas to find an advantage. And Tiamat minions in this game as well, man, could end up making a difference around this Fire Giant.
They could. If the dance goes long, Tiamat minions enough from SAP 7 to be the difference maker. It'll be slow, but they will eventually take out a tower on their own. Both junglers have got decent opportunity to just go over and 1v1 the Gold Fury. Maskill a little bit less, so he hasn't got as much sustain built into his kit, if any at all, just from that Lash getting some additional lifesteal. Still will win the 1v1, but would have to walk over normally. Worst Turtle with Bumbus Hammer can almost indefinitely tank any of these objectives, barring Fire Giant. Both ADCs have opportunities to look towards the Primal Fury as well. So could be either team that decides to break the stalemate and head over to the left side of the map. But as of now, it's all presence on the right, and it's all about that Pyromancer, which has fallen. Niflheim Wargs, though, will reset themselves all the way back to neutral, given the defensive positioning over to the Gilded Gladiators. Looking at their pockets, 2 sentries still available, 2 normal wards. The Gladiators should have pretty decent presence around the objective, and they've pulled it out.
Oh, look at the left side of the map, Miff. Waves of Tiamat minions and a Trebuchet, and that gives the Gilded Gladiator some space. Nobody from the Wargs has backed off to deal with it just yet. But that march is going to be sped up a bit now that the Tiamat minions have made some waves there on left. Should be a tier 2 tower that ends up getting knocked down at least, and that pushes the Niflheim Wargs back just a bit. We're about to cross the 30-minute mark here in game number 2. Again, a faster paced start. Slows down as usual around the Fire Giant. Everyone in this game has their relics. Everyone in this game has their ultimates ready to go. And indeed, the tier 2 tower taking a smattering of damage over on left.
You know, this is twice now we've seen this Myrmidon build from Itori. And it is curious, right? Because he's not utilizing that ultimate to start these engagements, which is what would be indicated by this style of build. You want to get that passive available to you early on in the fight so you can go for the hieroglyphic assault more often. Very similar to how Rom is played at the top level. Just, hey, let me head up into the air. I'm going to force someone out with a TKO. But instead, I don't think we're really seeing the most value from Itori's staff of Myrmidon. He's not getting that uncapped CDR because for the most part, it's, all right, get somebody low, I'll finish him off with my ultimate. And by the time someone's fallen down, we saw it for 30 minutes in game 1. It's all about the reset. Getting that initial pick, it seems to be all important between these two teams. I'd like to see what this build is capable of if the Wargs and Itori just start the fight with it and then utilize that passive to continually find that poke, separate the engagement, and push forward to get into this Fire Giant pit. Because for the most part, it seems like the Wargs are just comfortable allowing the Gilded Gladiators to be the aggressor every single time.
It does feel like Maskill, or Sap rather, is just holding off a wall of damage. Look at the damage charts. Everybody on the Wargs a hefty amount higher than everyone on the Gladiators outside of Sap. The Sap and the Tiamat have done a lot of work this game. Or Spudio has sent out a mountain of damage towards the Gladiators. More Tiamat minions make their way left, a couple over in the mid-wave as well. Enough to make the left side Phoenix uncomfortable, maybe. Not a massive difference maker just yet. Worst Turtle running down Dazer. Mass kill, drops the stun, doesn't get it onto Worst Turtle, who has his ultimate. Won't force anything here just yet, but we are off the Fire Giant, and left side minions will reach that Phoenix, and it looks like Worst Turtle's gonna have to go deal with him.
Worst Turtle has shown that he does just so much damage there. He lines up against Dazer, drops him down to half without really utilizing any of his kit besides the first 3 abilities. Doesn't use the ultimate, no relics expended either. So, if this Loki can get into the backline, connect with priority targets.
You gotta fight. I mean, you know Worst Turtle's over on left. Now's your opening. If you're the Gilded Gladiators, Mass Kill's got the heal as Dharmic Pillars from Ali only slow down the inevitable. A double kill for the Kali at the start of this fight. Spudio is losing the 1v1 against Toddy. It's all gone wrong for the Niflheim Wargs. Worst Turtle had to go back, and the Gilded Gladiators find their opening.
Gotta think it could have been anyone that wasn't Worst Turtle, right? I'm sitting here singing his praises. You need him in the team fight. Now Worst Turtle forced to go for the hero play. Fire Giant, just an unrealistic goal. So the Gilded Gladiators confirm it for themselves. Enhanced Fire Giant to all 5 members and only 2 tier 2 towers standing between them and the exposed birds of the Niflheim Wargs. But great recognition from the Gladiators, to be sure. The very second that Worst Turtle shows himself on that left side of the map, it's an all-in engagement, and the Gilded Gladiators look great for it. Mass kill with a blink in, finds a double stun, connects with all that damage, and now right side Phoenix falls down. You still have 10 seconds left on Itori's respawn. Should be able to pick up this tier 2 in mid. Back up, Primal Fury, you can even split the map, have some people go over towards the Pyromancer. Wow. This is a massive swing.
It's ridiculous value from the opening moments of this Fire Giant. Couple tier 2 towers, a right side Phoenix, Worst Turtle. Nice chunk of damage. And maybe a look at a left side Phoenix as well. Spudio respawns, doesn't have ultimate. Gilded Gladiator's gonna sell out for this left side Phoenix. Dharmic Pillars are gonna funnel them into the damage from Itori and from Kha'Zix as well. And here's your dive from the Niflheim Wargs. Mustemix, though, has delayed out the fight with a nice knock-up onto the back line. And it looks like Toddy and the rest will survive. Might need to be a sacrifice here, and that might be Lestemix, who's slowed down. But Sap7 turns around to help usher his solo laner away.
Worst Turtle still has Blink, and we've seen what his burst potential looks like. So it can't be the Gilded Gladiators playing for themselves. If anybody's left alone, they will get turned on, but instead it's a turn the other direction. Dazer getting active, forcing Spudio to ult defensively.
Is there chase down, though? The Minotaur does slow things down. Now Maskill has jumped in onto Spudio, and a killing spree for the Kali. Sap unhappy, and Sap on a solo mission. The rest of the squad way behind this Tiamat. But Sap unbothered. Are there minions approaching? Yes, there are. Could be a good opportunity to get another Phoenix off the map.
Worst Turtle still has the flank, as does Kha'Zix. That ultimate will act as a wall. Now the Gilded Gladiators stuck in the Phoenix.
Worst Turtle still has Bubble as well. Also has Assassinate. Left side Phoenix gone. Worst Turtle stealthed. What are we gonna get done here? Nothing. Toddy turns the damage. And now the Niflheim Wargs 30 seconds without their ADC and a minute without their jungler.
Looked to me like Worst Turtle with just one auto attack, and that's enough to separate that fight.
Whoa.
As Mass Kill forces the Aegis.
And Maskill gets the kill, but no heal, and the Phoenix deals the last bit of damage, but there's still damage from the Gilded Gladiators. Lestemix knocks down Ali. Kha'Zix through the Aegis survives, but it's a deicide for the Gilded Gladiators, and in 35 minutes, we'll head on to a game 3.
A much faster game 2 where the Gilded Gladiators are continually putting out that pressure. What was it? The exact 10-minute mark, Gold Fury goes down, reset, head over to the Pyromancer, and I spent the entirety of P's and B's talking about how strong the Wargs' objective presence would have been, but they never were allowed to play around it, were they? It just felt like at every single opportunity, the Gladiators were just more ready.
You do want ward objective presence, though.
That's good.
That is hyper important, especially in games like this. And I think that the ability of the Gilded Gladiators to actually run down those fights, right, and swing the momentum and actually take control, just so impactful here in this game. Chase down some of those kills, and in 35 minutes, Gladiators tie up the set. An anticipated game 3 between the Gladiators and the Wargs coming up next.
I can't believe that you came into my life. You made me feel again. Now it's my turn. You say you've always been a little bit shy, but I can put an end to your fears. Let me show you a place where you gon' wanna move your feet until they start to bleed. DJ, take it away. Tonight is all for you and me. So baby, spin and let the music begin. I know you feel it within. So go ahead and just spin for me. Won't you spin? Don't let the doubt in you win. I know you feel it within. So go ahead and just spin for me. Won't you? I know it's hard for you to give it.
Gilded Gladiators able to answer back with a 35-minute win here in game number 2. And it feels like a trend is now established in this set. The team that drafts Kali is able to not only get active somewhat early in the game,
Weird.
but win the game. And this time it's the Gilded Gladiators who grab the Kali. The Kali looks great, and the Gilded Gladiators do as well. Felt clean down the stretch there, Miff. The objective calls were on point. The team fight calls were on point. That's what you want to see when you change up the roster with all the lengthy games we've had here. The storyline of this set has kind of gotten marred a bit. I mean, there are roster swaps for both of these teams, and I think that's a good, clean look for the Gilded Gladiators in Game 2.
Yeah, I think so. Again, and it's them playing into a disadvantage state. You really would expect the Wargs to be the ones getting onto objectives. Just look at these compositions. You've got Ganesh, who shreds defense and HP bars. You've got Kha'Zix, who's got consistent objective DPS. You've got the largest confirmation tool on the map, and your scaling is not really all that far behind what the Gilded Gladiators drafted, but instead, proactive play wins the day, at least in Game 2. It's whoever got to these objectives first, for the most part, just took them for themselves. And otherwise, you had really good individual matchups. You brought up the Kali, and whichever team picks it wins. I'd argue that Worst Turtle takes a pretty poor matchup into the Kali in that you're playing an all-in engagement style pick, and this is a god who has an all-in stopper, which is the death immunity from destruction. So Maskill, for the most part, able to leverage that for elongated team fights, resetting his HP and sticking around in the engagement for as long as he wanted. And he had drafted a great composition around him. Look at that front line that's starting up the engagements. Every single one of his clips starts with Lestimics going in with a knock-up, or Dazer connecting with a 1 or 2 man stun, and then it's Maskill who's able to rotate through and find these priority targets. Great play on field is what closes out the game quickly in Game 2.
And Gilded Gladiators now vying for their first win of phase number 2 here in the EU SEC. So are the Niflheim Wargs, both fresh looks at the rosters yet again. So now the question ends up being, Miff, as you move into picks and bans for Game 3 in just a moment here, are you taking away the Kali if you're one of these two teams? If you're not in that first pick slot, do you think Kali is worth a ban? Do you think it falls to second or third pick if you're the second pick team? If you're strategizing, does Kali need to get taken away, or do you think you can draft around that pick effective enough?
Look, Maskill only put up like 17,000 damage as opposed to the 30,000 from Worst Turtle.
Yeah,
so
mids have really been swinging. Actually, in Kha'Zix and Worst Turtle do crazy amounts of damage.
if the Gladiators are in first pick, I think I'd like to see them ban Kali and then get Maskill on a pick that he's more comfortable with. If the Gladiators are in second pick, just ban it out, because clearly Worst Turtle had a great performance.
Yeah, but I don't know.
I mean, he won with it.
You're right. Look, I don't want to be a coach, and nobody wants me to be their coach either, so I'm not going to offer my input. Maybe ban the Kali away. It's been winning this set. Let's see how the teams adapt in picks and bans for game number 3 between the Wargs and the Gladiators. If you're just now tuning in, a 56-minute game 1 goes the way of the Wargs, and
How do you
answer
remember?
back in 35 minutes from the Gladiators.
Wow.
And game number 3, how do I remember
Did you write them down?
those times? No, I've just said them like 7 times.
They have
throughout
been
this
etched into my heart as I experienced them.
Well, look, it's 1 in the afternoon on a Thursday.
That's right.
And so the gamers of the world are just now waking up, just now tuning in.
I don't think that's true. I read a study recently. I think it was actually conducted by Oxford. The average gamer in America is a 35-year-old male who plays about 1 hour a day.
Yeah, that's me. I'm the average. Well,
And what time do you wake up today?
I'm not 35.
Well,
do I act 35?
well.
Does a mustache make me look 35?
You look like a Top Gun caricature.
Yeah, it's because I keep seeing that movie. I can't stop.
How many times
going to
have you
watch
seen
it.
Top Gun?
I saw it for the 3rd time the other day.
Not in theaters, all
In
3
theaters,
times.
all 3 times. I went with my dad.
That's awesome.
I went alone, and then I went with my entire family. And
Your dad's like, did your dad go twice too?
my dad went-
I imagine the boys roll up to family dinner and you're like, guys, we gotta be watching Top Gun.
I get in my car and like the gear shift and the parking brake like pulling out of the movie theater.
No
I'm like,
shot. You drive manual too?
I
get a little-
Okay, got it.
Adjust the flaps with my air conditioning.
You are
vents.
so masculine.
Anyway, Chernobog finally gets unbanned, or is unbanned, Myth, and the Niflheim Wargs will pick Chernobog first and foremost. Kokulin and Jingwei are the answers back. So Kokulin has been a theme throughout this set. Unfortunately, it feels like the solo laners have been a bit by the wayside as far as conversation goes. But Kokulin has been there and done that for the Gilded Gladiators, and they'll stick with it. But Chernobog plus Cthulhu seems like a pretty strong starting pair.
It does, and I feel like we're in a meta of the past, right? Like it was a long time since Kokulin and Cthulhu were like the top 2 pick soul laners, but this is the 2nd time in this set where we're gonna get a look at how this plays out. But looking at the drafts, I am liking what we see from the Wargs. Chernobog as an immediate start, having that global presence, likely over towards the duo lane, especially now that Cthulhu's locked in. You've got a good idea of what that's likely headed over to solo. But now with Heimdall locked in as well, feels like that's a pick that the Wargs go towards just to take away from the Gladiators. You don't really want to have Cthulhu dealing with the double hunter composition, all that shred from kin size incredibly high, but you are sacrificing a bit of your magical presence. We could be looking at like a Jade Dragon style draft where maybe you go towards a magical hunter and that's how you round it out to get your magical DPS. I don't particularly love that either. So this is going to be an overall low physical or low magical damage composition from the Wargs. But looking at what the Gladiators have brought, I don't think their composition is going to be able to make the greatest usage of it. You've got a pretty dedicated front line. Kokulin's going to have to dedicate his items towards defense either way. Set, for the most part, if he wants to have the actual ability to burst down his targets, will have to go down that damage tree instead of utilizing a bruiser-style build. So, I'm not certain that I'm too concerned about the Wargs. Now flanked with Jingchen, Cthulhu and Jingchen on their own might be enough magical damage to make the Gladiators think about it.
So you had mentioned the Loki pick into the Kali as not being your favorite in Game 2. Does the Loki pick into the set
underworld
give you
opens.
more confidence in the jungle?
Loki in a set, much better than Loki in a Kali. Set's got similar levels of 1v1 in that he can burst pretty heavily, but Set's 1v1 is offset by the fact that you have to spawn up those terracotta soldiers, the clay minions, whatever they're called for Set.
Isn't that Nuwa?
Look, man,
They're like sand soldiers for
yeah,
set.
sand soldiers for Set. You got to spawn those up either way, and that takes some time. And if you're doing it to set up for burst, that means you don't have your teleport away available to you, whereas Loki's just, I'm going to vanish, and if I hit you, you're bleeding out, and if you jump away, I'm assassinating you. So in the late game, I feel like this Loki's going to have a much easier time actually finding those 1v1s.
And a Persephone to finish the draft for the Gilded Gladiators. Game 3 between the Wargs and the Gladiators now kicking off. And I do want to start over towards mid here, Myth, because it's going to be Spudio ADC with the Heimdall, and Atori will be playing Chernobog mid up against a Persephone. So double hunter comps not seen at all today. We save it to Game 3, and it's up against a Persephone. A pretty unique mid lane from what we've seen.
It is. Persephone shouldn't really be able to get pressure in this lane. Generally, when it's a hunter versus mage, unless that hunter's like something like an Ull, the mage should out-clear, but Persephone's not the strongest clear on the planet, and if he does really want to out-clear, it's going to have to dedicate that leap. When you're playing against a Loki in the jungle, you never want to be leaping on wave because you never really know where he is, so expect a slower pace from Sap 7. Itori generally should be able to establish that pressure. Could lead to some red buff invades early on. We saw a whole lot of presence around that blue buff as well. But Kha'Zix being your soul laner means that you don't really have the greatest opportunity to invade up against Lastimics on this Kakulin. Generally, it's the other way around. Cthulhu will have to be defending his own blue against multiple invade attempts. I think that is one way in for the Gilded Gladiators. And now that we've talked about the other side of the map, the entirety of it, might as well evaluate Duo a bit.
Yeah, go ahead, man.
Not a whole lot of action potential here.
Okay.
If either one of these teams is going to pull ahead, it's probably Spudio and Ollie. They just got higher damage output at this point.
Not going to be the Ganesh for Ollie this game. Instead, the Xing Chen. Xing Chen started to get played a little bit at the SPL this week, didn't it? I mean, it was just...
This week? Hasn't started yet.
Okay. Last week in the SPL, we saw
yeah,
a
you're right.
couple matches of this Xing Chen. It's far too early in this game, if we are minute 1.
We are in nearly the second hour of in-game
Yeah, that's
time.
true. I gotta zoom out. I gotta zoom out and realize the perspective of the set. As what was it, Myth? A 56 minute. Just
That's
kidding.
right.
I remember it. Worst Turtle and Mass Kill, a bit of damage exchanged, but neither looking too much worse for wear. I do want to cycle back. Basically, or Billy, as some of you know him as, a replay operator here, sent us an article.
Is that his title?
I don't know.
Replay operator.
Yeah, it sounds.
His title's so much cooler than mine. Associate Esports Specialist.
I don't know, esports specialist sounds pretty cool. Anyway, Billy sent us an article by the what did I just say? The esports, I already forget, the Entertainment Something Association. That said, the average gamer is a 33-year-old that owns a house and has children. So you were not far off. They also play puzzle games on their smartphone. So I think you are closer to the average
Dude, don't blow up my
gamer than I
spot.
am.
They don't know. Chat doesn't know about
you're
my
a mobile
gamer.
You're addicted to mobile games.
Stop, dude. Shut up.
What? Your mobile game addiction? I should
Dude,
stop
how
talking
many
about
times I gotta tell you? I'm about to walk over there.
with your cane and your...
Mike, get my walker. I gotta teach this whippersnapper something.
What am I on your lawn, old man? You play on you're playing Snake on your brick.
Look,
Nokia
man, I
phone?
might be on level 800 in Candy Crush, but what's that got to do with this Smite game?
Fun fact, my mom, I don't know if she's kept up with it, but as of like 6 months ago, my mom was caught up on Candy Crush, where she was actively waiting for them to release more levels.
Your mom's like, bro, you did not see the patch notes. These next levels are so
They
tight.
nerfed the red candy so hard. No, my mom, she just loves like sitting down and swiping on Candy Crush, because they only release like 10 levels at a time or something.
I know.
So she would like move on like pretty quickly. No, but I don't think she's kept up with it. But for a while there, a few months ago, she was actively caught up, which is like 3,000-4,000 levels of Candy Crush or something like that. So my mom is the average gamer, I guess, playing puzzle games.
Almost certainly plays more games than you.
Yeah, probably at this point. Anyway, we got a game going on. The Gilded Gladiators send a little pressure over to the left side of the map just to confirm their own purple buff. As I think, Myth, back with a Kha'Zix, Cthulhu versus Kakulin over solo lane was very quiet in game number 1. I imagine that pacing continues here in game 2. Especially at level 5, difficult to run down this Cthulhu. Lastimics played the transformations properly, should be okay as well. So if you are a jungler this game, Myth, where are you putting your pressure?
Which jungler am I? Both of them?
Yeah, give me worst turtle first.
All right, worst turtle. You're keeping your eyes on Sap 7 and Toddy GR, especially if Spuddy is able to force out that airstrike, which is something you're hoping for before you make that rotation. But if airstrike is down, Loki's got really high burst potential and can probably deal with this Jingwei nearly on his own. If airstrike is up, you're forcing airstrike, and that's all your rotation's really doing. Otherwise, Sap 7 dealing with Chernobog, who should be able to establish pressure, another pretty strong target. For mass kill, Spudio, not exactly the greatest. You have to get point blank on this set to deal your damage. You don't really have the greatest CC immunity, so Gallarhorn going to be able to peel off for the most part. So Itori, and to a certain extent Kha'Zix. I really want to see mass kill putting pressure onto this blue buff. That has been the devised answer by the SPL. Back when Cthulhu was locked in every single game, SPL team said, hey, his early game's just bad. It's just not good. Let's go to his blue buff. And by the time we start to get to these team fights, he's going to be 2-3 levels down because of how much pressure you're able to establish there. So if that's the answer, It's been out there. It's on the internet. Masskill just needs to Google it and then act on it. Get over to that blue buff.
Let's see if Masskill is able to do that early on here on this set. Do we think that... never mind, I answered my own question. I was about to ask if we thought that Hunter builds had stabilized, because we've seen a lot of Ikavel starts. But this game, much different for Toddy, who's gone Devour's Gauntlet, is an Ikavel start for Spudio. But seems like chilling out, farming up, scaling up a bit is in the mindset of not only Toddy, Masskill as well, and Dazer, who all have the minion stacking items. Though on the flip side, a couple Transcendences as well. So both teams, maybe Myth, have their eyes on some scaling going in the first few minutes of this game.
I'm looking at Spudio, though, being the difference maker, not going towards that stacking item. Ikavel on the first slot. That means he's got significant advantage in the 1v1. If he can do enough damage in the initial fight, Toddy GR will be forced to use that airstrike, and that's exactly what Worst Turtle's looking for. But if Spudio just goes for these small trades, allows Toddy to GR to reset himself, he's going to fall behind in sustain. Death Toll plus Devour's Gauntlets, especially now that we're on 9-6, Devour's buffed back up a little bit, should be able to keep him sustained for the most part. So it's all about the initial fight in the duo lane. Probably won't get too many opportunities as they're playing two of these safest hunters that Smite has ever seen, Heimdall and Jingwei, but worth bringing up. If he's buying Ikavel, he's got to think there's some opportunities.
Who do you think is the best hunter? Level 1.
Level 1 Uller.
Like starter item and a tier 1 item. Uller?
Yeah, he's got more abilities.
I guess that's true.
Yeah,
He
he just hits way harder.
I was hoping for a more nuanced answer, but I guess that just makes sense.
Yeah, it's unfortunate. Sometimes Occam's razor like really rears its head.
Yeah. Guy needs to shave. What?
You looked me right in my eye. I thought we were gonna wax poetic about philosophy for like at least a second, and you hit me with a dad joke, bro. I wasn't ready. That's on me. That's on me.
Poor Akka, man.
God, everybody's using his razor.
Poor guy. Okay. I don't know how to get back on track after that, so I'm just going to talk about the teams meeting over the oracles, and that'll really derail this train. Niflheim Wargs able to confirm both. Hey!
That's beads.
There were some damage trades there. Toddy does use beads indeed. Spudio used the ultimate. So if your Worst Turtle, seems like the alarm bell's going off over on the left side of the map. Have Blink, have Assassinate, can chase down Toddy as you mentioned. It's all about putting that pressure there. Or we can take a deep breath as the first 8 minutes have been. And then exhale. Did that center you?
A little bit,
Are you
yeah.
feeling centered?
Yeah, I'm a huge practitioner of mindfulness.
Yeah.
And 80% of that is just breathing.
I know you, Myth. There's no way mindfulness is your, I don't know, claim to fame.
Well, it's not my claim to fame. I won 2017 console Worlds.
I was about to swear, and I caught myself and said, dang right you did, Myth. You did it. Worst Turtle. Trying to defend the blue buff. Look, this is what you wanted. You wanted the Gilded Gladiators to put some pressure over on this side of the map. And the Gilded Gladiators do send some. And now it'll have to be return pressure in a bit later of time, though over in mid. Both supports are here. Atori has been able to stay safe, falling a bit behind as far as net worth goes, but really what you need is just stacking up on this Chernabog. You are 400-500 gold behind or so, but keeping yourself alive, getting to that late game point is really what Atori's got to keep in mind.
Doug, do me a massive solid and go ahead and pull up those damage charts as Ollie deals with that grasp of death. Really not a whole lot of kill potential there. I'm going to look at the junglers. 1,000 so far from both. So we haven't seen a whole lot of presence from either. But both are going for scaling style builds, and both are trying to work on that Transcendence early on. So I suppose that makes sense, but with beads burnt on Toddy, I would have loved to have seen Worst Turtle rotate over there. I feel like Masskill really does have decent opportunity to put pressure onto Cthulhu himself, but hasn't really leveraged that one either. Both these junglers just biding their time, and when junglers aren't getting active, and when compositions look like this, there's really not much you can do on the map to find that separation. Neither one of these teams really has so much potential to burn that they can deal with these now 9-5 to 9-6 enhanced neutral objectives, Gold Fury, probably wins the fight against most of these guys. Pyromancer just now spawning up could be a topic of conversation. We're just waiting. Fans at home, if you're wondering when we're going to see the damage output, when we're going to start to see some of the separation, look no further than Worst Turtle and Maskill. When these guys get active, that's when the kills roll.
But when they're not active,
We're going to be waiting.
that's when eyes roll.
Oh, wow. That's not bad.
Did that work?
Yeah, that's not bad at all.
That tracks a bit. Just a bit. As Maskill will go over towards the blue buff of the Cthulhu yet again. And it looks like yet again Kha'Zix will be short. One blue buff. Dazer will actually head on back and pick it up. Though it's only, it's made a bit of difference, of course. Not having the blue buff on the Cthulhu doesn't feel great, but has done more slowing down than massive difference making. Pyromancer spawned, and it really is just a short reply from the Wargs, and the Gilded Gladiators rotate into the objective, find the first one of the game, and with it, a decent little gold lead. About 1,000 gold in the lead of the Gilded Gladiators thanks to the Pyro.
The Wargs have got global presence advantage, decide not to rotate over and help out Kha'Zix whatsoever on that blue buff. You know there are 4 Gilded Gladiators on that side of the map because Kha'Zix communicated that, hey, there are 4 guys on my blue buff. And the entirety of the Wargs rotate to the left-hand side. Gold Fury not exactly an option. Pyromancer certainly is, and only one team grouped up on the option is the team that's going to get it. Gilded Gladiators. Pyromancer with 0 opposition. Had Itori jumped up into the air and into somebody's shadow, Pyromancer doesn't go down. Had Worst Turtle been there to help defend Kha'Zix's blue, because Kha'Zix is not behind at all. Even when the Gilded Gladiators are invading, they're sending so many people over that the XP split is straight up inefficient. So Lastimics maybe a quarter to a half level lead over Kha'Zix. Feels like the Wargs could have just shown presence. Like that is not a guaranteed invade.
Ooh. Well, now continued presence from the Gilded Gladiators. This time around the Gold Fury, but it's only Ollie that's close by. Frenzy used, team-wide Coerce gets used, Gold Fury will get taken by the Gilded Gladiators, but Tello get used by the Gladiators as Ollie is thrown out. His ultimate first kill of the game in 12.5 minutes. But the Niflheim Wargs have the ability to get back into this
What a
fight.
shot.
Mass kill from over the wall. Gets a second for the Gilded Gladiators. The Bifrost out from Spudio. Saves one more kill from going down. But how's that for a swing? Gladiators pull the Fury and pull 2 kills.
The Gilded Gladiators, they're just calling the bluff, right? Like, hey, we're going to show up, and if the Wargs do as well, maybe we don't take the fight. Maybe we just disengage. But the Wargs aren't showing up. They're simply not there, so the objective goes their way. By the time the Wargs had made the rotation, who cares? Fight's over. There's really not much, and it was a staggered initiation from the Wargs where Worst Turtle's kind of in on his own, or Ollie's trying to steal away the objective on himself, and you can't do that. Walk in alone, die alone. The Gilded Gladiators had a conveyor belt of kills handed to them post-objective, post-double objective, Pyro and the Gold Fury.
So what can you do now? Not much when those objectives aren't on the map. Returned pressure to the buffs, things like that, still where the Gilded Gladiators can pull their advantage. You'd hope, though, with scaling things like that, I mean, you're right, there's global presence, but you want a Tori to be a bit stronger. Maybe on this next round, you would hope that the Wargs are a bit more active. Although Mass Kill, his own team's blue buff, should be a kill, and the Wargs are able to find it, and that's a simple chase down by Worst Turtle, who will assassinate away. Lastimics probably has enough damage to get this kill, but Worst Turtle with 2 teammates will be able to get out just fine. And so a small swing back for the Niflheim Wargs around the blue buff, and an early ultimate used by Sap7 forces the beads off of Tori, so that has got to be somewhere that the jungler, the set here, Mass Kill for the Gilded Gladiators, feels like he can have an impact.
Could be, but it's going to be 10 seconds till he can think about it properly, as he's got that time to spend in the grayscale. Fortunately for Mass Kill and the rest of the Gilded Gladiators, they've done such a good job in the macro that there's not much the Wargs can really do to make use of that pick. So instead, it's a reset completely back to neutral, with the Gilded Gladiators at a significant advantage, 14.5 minutes in. I'd like to see them keep up this aggression. The Gladiators can either continually rotate towards that blue buff, force fights on the solo side of the map, wait for this Pyromancer. We're about a minute away from that respawning. Could be another POI where they can force the Niflheim Wargs to step out of these towers. because the Wargs, for the most part, have been playing conflict adverse. They're going for a pacifist run, around the objectives at least, and so far it's been benefiting the Gilded Gladiators. With all that said, Itori is still playing with a lead. He has been splitting much less with his support, Ollie, who's been playing elsewhere on the map. Dazer, on the other hand, been playing in mid for the most part, so Sap 7, about a half level down. Time to start utilizing that global presence. I want to see Chernobog just outnumbering anybody on the Gilded Gladiators, but for the most part, it's really just been, hey, I'm going to jump up in the air because somebody's ulting me.
Well timed, Myth. Well timed. Up into the air goes Itori. Back down underneath. His own tier 1 tower will not end up initiating. Ultimate out from Spudio. He'll trade out some auto attacks with Toddy. Dazer low here. Rotation way in behind from Ollie. I'm not sure there's enough here to fully chase down this kill, and Ollie will agree. He'll head back. Tori, though, again run down by Maskill. Aegis buys some time, but time has run out, and Maskill, the second of the game for him and the third of the game for the Gilded Gladiators. And that is simple, a walk down on the Chernobog.
And this in particular is why we generally see Chernobog in the duo lane. You want him furthest away from the action so that he can teleport to it and get there last. Chernobog almost plays as a pseudo-assassin in that regard, in that, hey, the abilities are down. They've used their resources. All right, I'm getting involved. I'm gonna get in there and I'm gonna deal my damage without any contention. When you put Chernobog in mid, he's exactly where every single fight starts. We call it the 3v3 for a reason. It's because that's where the majority of the action happens, in the center of the map. Because the fight has been delivered to Itori every single time, we have not seen him utilize that ultimate as global presence. We have not seen him get over to a team fight in a side lane and get a numbers advantage. It's always happening to him, and so he's been ulting reactively every single time. I know that Spudio is one of the best Heimdalls to have done it in the EU SCC, but
Yeah.
just gotta feel like had they switched roles or even just gone for a more standard mage and just put this Chernobog over in the duo lane, we'd have seen some value from it by now.
Yeah, Tori just getting ulted on cooldown, it feels like, by Sap, even just to be annoying. It's been hitting, and Tori's going to turn around, break the vines if he's not trapped in the center of it. But again, scaling important and scaling there for this Chernobog, but is there for Spudio as well. But at the moment, a heftier gold lead has built up for the Gilded Gladiators, over 3,000, closing in on 4,000. And Maskill is getting active yet again. A purple buff respawning shortly on the Warg side of the jungle. And Maskill is here to try to take it away, and will get dropped by Maskill. There's an ult in from Itori, but the fight is already somewhat disengaged here, and the Gilded Gladiators will be able to run for the hills. The Oni Fury is spawned up, but a Pyromancer up on the other side of the map. And now the neutral objective dance can begin.
Assassinate down, Itori, no ultimate. Sap 7's ult's coming back up very shortly, so the Gilded Gladiators not only playing with a golden experience advantage, but also an ultimate advantage. So I would like to see them group up and force the objective, and if you have to force one with both on the map, you take the one that is worth more. Oni Fury pulled out and burning quick.
Frenzy used should be a confirmed objective, and it is indeed. An Oni Fury to the Gilded Gladiators, and 2 Trebuchets. So Trebuchet, Obelisk control, that's been there for the Gilded Gladiators. Wonder if Lestemics will send one here alongside the Oni minions. And no, looks like that Trebuchet will hang out for just a bit longer.
Spudio loses his beads in an attempt to steal away the objective, so could be the Gilded Gladiators trying to put some presence there. As the Niflheim Wargs take notice. They will not allow the objective to go down without some sort of answer on the map, and Pyromancer, better than nothing. Niflheim Wargs get it.
Lestemics, though, is close by. Is there help from the rest of the Gladiators? That's the question. Worst Turtle galloping away. I'm not sure what Loki does. He frolics, I suppose. Saunters away.
Jog, sprint, run.
What does Set do you think? Does Set gallop?
Well, hold on. Let's get a zoom in on Set's legs. If he's got like satyr legs, I'll say he gallops. Now with this skin, my man's a runner.
Yeah, that's a simple run for Maskill. Worst Turtle will run over to the red buff, but it'll be missing by the time that he gets there. 1 level deficit for the Loki, but build coming along nicely. Itori is ulted back towards mid as well. Kha'Zix has been using the teleports exclusively to get back to lane. Not much else use for them just yet, but later on in the game, having teleport and an ultimate from Chernobog could absolutely prove very important. That global pressure that you talk about matters now, yes. But later in the game, it seems like we're steamrolling towards another Fire Giant style dance. Teleport plus Churn Ult make a big difference in moments like that. But I admire the Gilded Gladiators putting out continued pressure on the Niflheim Wargs here. No buff, going down quietly. And why would you when you're playing with the style of lead that they are? It's been quiet around mid, but Sap has been able to build up a few stacks on that Charon's coin at 1, 0, and 2. With a Divine Ruin, a Soul Gem, and a Soul Reaver after the fact. So we've not seen much Persephone. But I know enough to know that that's going to be a lot of damage, and Sap is going to have to do a lot of damage right now, but won't get the chance. Aegis gets used, and then up and over the wall, and Worst Turtle will follow Sap, and Sap into the grave, but Masskill is able to trade back 1 for 1 between both of these junglers. Aturi will use the Aegis, Whirlwind of Rage and Steel for Peel, and Ollie looks like he'll be able to live as well. Masskill might be able to chase down the support, but Kha'Zix wags his finger, and there does end up being a double kill dropping. Masskill on a killing spree. And Spudio, now with some disengage help from his solo laner, will ult away from Lestimix. 2 for 1 trade for the Glads.
Toddy GR has flown into mid, finally showing some presence. Thought maybe we'd see a follow-up knock-up off of that hammer, but not in range just yet. The Gilded Gladiators look to me like they're looking for more. Deep ward from Dazer as they do approach the Fire Giant. They're pulling it out. 2 dead on the Niflheim Wargs as opposed to the 1, Sap 7, who will respawn first. But this is a wild call. Low odds here. Kha'Zix, level 19 nearby. Should be able to get in there and at least slow it down.
Yeah, this is not burning quickly. The Gilded Gladiators like half agree. They sort of half reset the Fire Giant, but damage still working in onto it as Toddy reinitiates.
If Kha'Zix pulls it, they might take it.
Right, Kha'Zix left alone, and it looks like a full reset here. The Gilded Gladiators off the FG. And the first of what I assume will be many Fire Giant dances. The Gilded Gladiators pull it. Niflheim Wargs and their solo laner show some face. The Gladiators decide they want nothing else to do with it, but they do want something to do with Sap, who's in mid, without
Good
beads
ult.
or Aegis. Grasp of Death countered out by Whirlwind of Rage and Steel. Sap sent back into the mid lane.
Uh-oh, whoa!
Aturi gets the kill, but how about that? What is that? The knockups are big, and Aturi's got to disengage. Toddy's got 1.
Where's he going?
And somebody should be getting a kill here, and it's Lestimix who gets ulted on. He's rooted in place, though. But there is a collapse coming in from the other side of the Fire Giant pit. Lestimix adds another, and the Gilded Gladiators rolling a bit more.
Double knockup from Toddy GR into double channeled explosive bolts means that whoever is standing in front of him is going to get shredded, and that's exactly what happens. Wind Demon, Kin-Size, Silver Branch putting in the work. Fire Giant pulled yet again, but Kha'Zix, no stranger to this situation. All he's got to do, get in there and slow him down.
Spudio is close by as well. That's a transformation out of Dazer.
Reset.
Bifrost away. It is slowly reset, but yeah, the Dragon transformation. Yeah, Gilded Gladiators not favoring their odds despite a hefty gold lead here, 23 minutes in. A few members of the Niflheim Wargs make that questionable enough. And the Gilded Gladiators will have to back off. So the fight doesn't go well for the Wargs, but they are at least able to keep the Fire Giant on the map.
Fire Giant will be the great separator this time around, but even when the Gilded Gladiators are finding these small team fight wins, I feel like they're getting overzealous. It's almost a complete inverse of what we saw in Game 1, where neither team was feeling confident in their ability to pull the Fire Giant. Now the Gilded Gladiators are getting their pick, and they're not waiting to regroup. Even if there are 4 or 5 people alive in the Gladiators, it feels like it's always 2 or 3 people pulling the Fire Giant, losing out on a lot of their HP, and then getting forced to reset by the time their team is finally regrouped. If the Gladiators can find their pick again and just wait to be 5-stacked, feels like they'll have a much better chance at actually taking the objective. Meanwhile, on the left side of the map, Gold Fury will fall down, keeping that gold lead at about now 6, nearly 7,000. Significant 24 minutes in. Wards really going to be the difference maker here. You can start upgrading those relics, the conversations. Wards.
With a
D.
Got it.
Yeah.
Wait, what did we say? Objective ward.
Objective wards and objectives for the wards.
Yeah, right. Both of those wildly important in keeping the Wargs in this game. Feels like just another fight or two, like they have been going for the Gilded Gladiators. Maybe the point of no return. Though between these two teams, who knows, anything can happen. Especially with how lengthy things have gone between them. So 25 minutes. Not much outside of a decent gold lead separating these. Not much except a huge gold lead separating these two squads.
And it's getting bigger.
And it's getting bigger as a tier 1 tower ends up going down, but a full 5-on-5 grouping here on right. And these are the types of moments, Miff, where you do wonder, like, how imminent is a team fight here? Where you wouldn't send a Tori or Kha'Zix who's got teleport, or Tori with his global ultimate to the left side of the map, push down some of that pressure. How immediate do you think a fight is going to be happening as the Wargs keep all 5 members on right?
Bro, I'd like to see Itori on the left side of the map 3 minutes ago. Yeah. Here's the thing about how quickly a team fight can happen. Doesn't matter. He jumps into shadows. It's not even like the time to channel a teleport.
And ultimate out from Sap. Transformation out from Dazer. And disengage from both of these teams. No one doubles back for the Fire Giant. Just ultimates fly. Nobody connected with. And the tug of war now in favor of the Gilded Gladiators, who have more aggressive positioning on the Niflheim Wargs side of the jungle. Ollie would love to back and reset, but the Harpies have something else in mind. Trebuchet will be dealt with over here as well. This is where the Gladiators have been more aggressive this game at starting up the objectives. Frenzy use, Fire Giant low, and Fire Giant confirmed by the Gilded Gladiators. Toddy has found the first, but Worst Turtle immediately answers back. This fight far from guaranteed, not when Atori is starting to swing away, and Atori is swinging 2 down for the Gilded Gladiators. Kha'Zix creating separation on the front line, just needs some damage to hit its mark. That's what Spudio and Atori are here for. And it looks like 3 members of the Gladiators will live. Listemix has to use the beads, but now a reinitiation from Ollie with the Whirlwind of Rage and Steel. But that one goes searching for a target, a jump out from Dazer, and a jump back in from Ollie. The back and forth of this fight is insane as a grasp of death for the second time in the last minute or so flies through, and that'll slow down anything else from happening. Niflheim Wargs had the momentum in that fight. They ultimately get 2 but lose the fire.
Fire Giant only on 3 though, Listemix, Sap 7, and Dazer, so not really your best pushers. You've got decent burst potential if Sap 7 can connect that ultimate in some of these team fights, but yet again, I gotta have the conversation around Itori, who decides while his team is fighting near that tier 2 tower line, he's gonna clear out 2 back camps, take the scenic route around. Damage finally starts to move up once he connects some of those auto attacks actually inside the tower. Feels as if Itori has been getting punished so much throughout the entirety of this game that he has been conditioned, Pavlov style. He sees an enemy and he gets out of there. I want to see him get active. 2, 2, and 1. Maybe have him be that split pusher. Maybe just have him presence in the team fight, but we are 27 minutes in, 8,600 damage from your ADC. Not super impressive.
No, and you need that to start to scale up as the rest of this game goes on, but like the way that I love the mindset, at least, in that last team fight. It'll only get better, you assume, from here. Not sure what Dazer was up to, backing
Well, that's a good
on
ult.
top of a ward, I suppose. Actually, the wall ends up closing Dazer off, but he's able to just jump up and over. Gilded Gladiators were in range to defend their support. The support didn't end up needing much defending. Tier 2 tower in mid will go down. Left side and mid lane, Phoenix is open for business.
They are, but the Gilded Gladiators will not be participating. They're not going to give them their patronage. They're going to head over to the right side of the map. No purchases, no sales, no trade-ins. We're worried about tier 2 towers on the opposite side. The Niflheim Wargs will show some presence in a blink in from Kha'Zix. They're going to dig in their heels here.
Kha'Zix wanting to fight underneath the last tier 2 tower the Wargs have on the map. Ollie low, Listemix no beads, remember. Will dash away. Both of the carries dealing some good damage. Double knockup. Where does Worst Turtle end up going? Not up and over the wall, but again, a triple knockup. Just searching for some follow-up. Atori has the autos for Listemix. Worst Turtle, they got just desperate to go in onto Dazer, but realizing it's too risky. The Gilded Gladiators will get repelled, but Trebuchet plus minions have met the mid lane Phoenix.
Gilded Gladiators just about have beads on everybody, so Worst Turtle has no opportunity to look for an ultimate. The same cannot be said of Sap 7, who has connected with Spudio, but it's just him and Listemix nearby. The rest of the Gilded Gladiators had disengaged, so why is it doing that?
Look at the player damage charts.
Yeah, that owns.
It is all Sap ulting and finding poke damage.
That's why.
And then everyone else hanging out. You got 7K in the jungle for the Gladiators. Bit higher up, 14,000 for Worst Turtle, but a lot of that poke damage.
Itori finally passed up Dazer.
That's true. Low Mid to low everywhere else, but super high from Sap 7 at 31,000. A Fury does drop again. It's for the Gilded Gladiators, who have a 10,000 gold lead.
That's a lot.
At the 30-minute mark, the Fire Giant buff falls off, is respawning in a minute. You have to imagine, at 10,000 gold ahead, you're favoring your chances around this next Fire Giant, and you're either forcing a fight or forcing the objective.
Completely agree. And considering how quickly the Fire Giant will burn between Fafnir, his belt, the damage output of the multiple auto attackers on the side of the Gilded Gladiators, Masskill and Toddy. You've got your crit finished up, Deathbringer done. Fire Giant will not last long. I was curious about this. I had assumed Spudio would back. If anybody's going to be split pushing, it better be Itori. If anybody's going to the left side of the map, it better be the guy who jumps into shadows.
You're getting your wish.
And I'm thinking he should be. I want him pathing to the minion wave. I want him up there like all the way. Get on that tier 2 tower. If anybody shows up around Itori, ult, get to the team fight, you have a numbers advantage. If nobody shows up around Itori, take the tier 2 and potentially the Phoenix. This is the best utilization of Chernobog that we've seen in the last 31 minutes.
And so Itori will head to the left side of the map, but that also means Fire Giant will be a bit under threat the moment Itori shows up on the map. Enhanced Fire Giant now. The Gilded Gladiators would love to grab it. Finally starting the damage on the tier 2 tower. Cleared out the minion wave first, but enough presence from the Wargs to slow down the Enhanced Fire Giant. Itori's going to keep going. Grasp of Death.
It's been reset.
Out from Sap, and the Fire Giant dropped by the Gilded Gladiators as the rest of the fight continues. And Itori over to the right side of the map is in the back line, grabs a kill onto Sap 7. That's the back line, that's free dive from the Niflheim Wargs. Masskill ends up turning back 1 kill. Might be a second if Ollie ends up getting caught out, but Spudio's got damage and a Bifrost. Looks like Ollie may be the last death here. A double kill for Masskill and a 2-for-2 trade.
This is exactly what I'm talking about. Even from these insane margins, 10,000 gold down, because Itori is putting pressure on the left side of the map, the Gilded Gladiators say, we have to take the fight. We have to do something. We're either going to lose our Phoenix or we're going to coin toss the Fire Giant, and if we lose the Fire Giant, it's pretty easy for the Wargs to disengage. So what do the Gilded Gladiators do? All in initiation. They take the team fight, thinking to themselves, we're 10k up. That's an entire item for all of us. We should just win this by rote. But because Itori is the last one to the team fight, because he waits until after the initiation for the Gilded Gladiators, he not only picks up a tier 2 tower for his team, which gives them all global gold and experience, but when he lands, he's allowed to deal his damage. He doesn't need to be concerned about the initiation of the Gladiators. That's what I've wanted to see from Chernobog for half an hour. And we finally got there, and it comes up massive for the Wargs. Rinse, repeat. Do it again.
Got ultimate. Got a chance, and Fire Giant still on the map as both teams fully respawn. Though, you imagine wards, things like that, going to get dropped down over on left for the Gilded Gladiators. You need some there if you're Itori as well, though the Niflheim Wargs should be able to properly communicate the happenings of the Gilded Gladiators, how many are over by the Fire Giant, things like that. But Itori looks like favoring the right side of the map this time. Won't fully push in.
At least go mid.
Left. As you say it, the icon shifts back towards the mid lane.
He's thinking about it. He's thinking to himself, man, that last fight was different. What went different?
Was it me?
I think it might be.
Was it me ulting in? Sap sends his ult.
Massive whiff.
Right down between two members of the Niflheim Wargs. Tier 1 tower in mid does drop. That's Itori. Getting the objectives done over in mid. The scaling has arrived. That's what we've been waiting for the Chernobog. Chin size finishes off that build. And so any healthy targets going to get shredded down a bit quicker by the Chernobog. And really for the first time in 15 minutes, feels like the Niflheim Wargs, 20 minutes maybe, the ones putting pressure on the Gilded Gladiators despite a healthy gold deficit. It's about the Gilded Gladiators realizing, oh yeah, we're still a bit stronger in the gold department. Kind of retake over positioning here on the Fire Giant, which they're able to do.
Itori can't go back to his split push shenanigans because Spudio's head back to base, so not super upset with his presence here. Needs to be in range to make sure the Gilded Gladiators aren't actually pulling the Fire Giant, which they are, by the way. Not burning incredibly quick. Worst Turtle will get vision here. He knows now that it's around 80% and reset. So the Niflheim Wargs, with the addition of Spudio, should be able to reset themselves back to neutral had they not been grasped by death.
Well, will death reach their doorstep? That's the question for Spudio. The answer is not yet yes, and Aegis and ult out will only delay the answer as Maskill strikes home and Spudio falls first. Ollie able to get out, but Kha'Zix and Atori wreaking havoc on the other end of this fight. Tadia stayed alive though, a double kill for Maskill. Huge fight for the Gilded Gladiators. They'll lose their mid laner, but they'll get everyone but the support of the Wargs. 4 for 1.
Sap 7 just coming up massive. May have whiffed the previous ultimate, but one connects, and that's all you need to separate the team fight. 4 dead for 40 seconds. Ollie still alive on this Jingchen. Toddy GR sustaining up pretty well. This might be it.
Could be for the Gilded Gladiators. We'll get a better idea, not only with what happens to Ollie, as you'll get some utility out of the Jingchen on
Still
Toddy.
30, 20 seconds.
What do the positionings tell us? It's
Waves
telling us
here.
that the Gilded Gladiators are looking to end this game in 35 minutes, 10 seconds onto Spudio. Titan burning, but burning slowly. Ollie disengaging Toddy as best as he can, not blocking out a lot of those audios. Titan melting away, but the Whirlwind can steal. That is unbelievable from Ollie. That is disgusting. That is not allowed, but Ollie does it anyway. A triple kill from Spudio on the back of a massive play from Ollie. And this game goes on, and that Titan limping, crippled, still alive, thanks to the support of the Wargs.
Everybody on the Gilded Gladiators just praying. Man, I sure hope he doesn't washing machine me. God, I hope. Why is your ADC in melee range? Like, why are you there? Just stand further away. Instead, get slammed. He's getting slammered, and now it's the Niflheim Wargs on the Enhanced Fire Giant.
I can't believe it. What's going on?
We're going to be so late for our movie. This game continues.
Don't worry, I got 2 more tickets to Top Gun.
Just an absolutely wild defense that you gotta think was avoidable. You just gotta think that,
I guess
right?
all their beads were down.
I mean, all their beads are down, but there's no reason for them to all be stacked up like that.
All their beads are in sync with one another, so something in the last team fight got all their beads off at the same time. And you'll get a better look at what Ollie's able to get done.
Why is he barrel stuffing, bro? You got guns, man. Get out there. You're Aegising those? You Aegis that?
Wow. And Listemic still had a chance to finish the game after that. So do the minions. That is nuts. Wow. You don't see that very often.
No, you don't.
I don't know how many times we're seeing Jingchen in these games and Jingchen being in that position.
I think,
and
honestly...
Fire Giant goes to the Wargs in the meantime. This game was completely reset at 37 minutes.
I didn't see the exact cooldowns, but there are multiple ways that could have been avoided. Toddy GR doesn't barrel stuff. He's not getting grabbed by the ultimate. He holds on to his dash. He just dashes away after the ultimate. Maybe he Aegised during the ult, so he couldn't dash because he was mid-Aegis. I don't know. I feel like there are like 6 plays you could have made to just like not have that happen.
But they didn't make any of those plays, Miff, and we move on. 38 minutes, the Niflheim Wargs stabilize this game. They do lose their mid lane Phoenix, but it's still such an you can't
leave your
allow
base.
you can't allow the Gladiators anywhere inside your base until your Phoenix respawns. And so the Wargs have to set up a line of defense all outside of their base because a couple uncontested auto attacks does end up finishing this game. Got another couple minutes on the Phoenix respawn. So yes, back in the game, but far from comfortable are the Wargs.
The Wargs just cannot allow anybody from the Gilded Gladiators in. And a couple members of the Gladiators have high mobility. Jingwei can get in towards that base pretty easily. Maskill can do the exact same. If either of them fall down, it's going to cost you pretty heavily. That Titan's got a little bit of time until it starts regenerating its HP, though. Mid-Phoenix going to respawn shortly. Enhanced Fire Giant still on the waist of the Niflheim Wargs for about 1.5 minutes. If that mid-Phoenix respawns, dare I say it, dead even game? 40 minutes in?
You're going to say that right now?
I'm going to say that to you and all the fans.
Keep your voice low, man. You can't be saying that out loud.
Dead even game?
What?
Dead even game?
No way.
I'm thinking it might be.
It could be.
That mid-Phoenix is spawning.
Phoenix is about to spawn.
They need a break, too. It's been like 3 hours of in-game time.
Yeah, we went how many minutes in game 1?
56.
How many minutes in game 2?
38?
It was like 36, maybe.
Oh, yeah.
35, 36.
So
we're
end in 6.
minute 38 right now of game number 3. Okay, how'd we get here?
One Jingsheni boy.
One washing machine.
That's all it takes.
Pop the quarters in there.
That's right.
When was the last time you actually used one of the like change?
Before a laundromat? When's the
Yeah.
last time I was in a laundromat? Before I lived in my current apartment, I didn't have an in-unit washer dryer. So
Did it
every
come with
time,
your apartment?
No, I had to rent a washer dryer. I had the connections. That owns.
Connections to hook it up, not
Yeah.
like connections with somebody who got you a
Well,
washer.
both.
You got the washer dryer.
That's
hookup.
right. I'm the plug.
The hookup that doesn't work any better. It works for both ends. It works
And
for
the
both.
plug. Oh my God.
And the plug. My goodness, we gotta stop.
Big washer does not want to get anybody confused.
Big washing machine is listening to this cast. Ollie makes all the difference in the world on the Titan defense. And wouldn't you guess it, the mid lane Phoenix respawns, and so does some of the health from the Titan.
Slowly.
And slowly but surely, don't call me Shirley.
I didn't.
That's been my word this set. I gotta cut that out. Niflheim Wargs have stabilized this game, and they still got 38 whole seconds with this Fire Giant buff.
Enhanced.
As we cross the 40-minute mark. You'd love to at least get a tier 2 out of all of this. I mean,
400?
you keep your game alive. And you do get a tier 2 tower. Might lose a tier 2 over on right, that being said. But the Titan is able to stabilize, and so are the Wargs.
Left side Phoenix going to be accosted by enhanced minions shortly. Worst Turtle, though, is privy to the fact and will defend his base ardently. So the Niflheim Wargs, in a miraculous defense off the back of Ollie connecting his ultimate, will extend this game yet again. Fire Giant dance will continue at about the 41.5-minute mark as it barrels back down towards the earth. The Gilded Gladiators still have got a pretty significant gold advantage, but at this point it's just about upgraded relics, and looking at the relics, majority are already upgraded for the Niflheim Wargs. It's about vision in on the map and in pocket. Both advantage over to the Gilded Gladiators, I believe, as they've got the majority of sentries, 5 in pocket. Couple of elixirs for priority targets. Itori and Spudio pick up theirs. Sap 7 has also got one in his, and Maskill has chugged up. So these guys are strong.
Thanks, man. Appreciate the rundown.
Hey, look, 41 minutes in,
What am I supposed to do now?
you're going to wait till this Fire Giant fights, and you're going to go,
Okay.
whoa!
You're right.
All right, and I'll keep going.
Oh, no.
He's got the inhale.
Oh, you missed the bit. We were both supposed to just be quiet.
Oh, okay, all right.
I can't do it.
Dude, that's probably the most uncomfortable Smite chat's ever been. We almost never have dead air.
Right, a slight silence.
Yeah.
That was horrific.
Are their mics muted?
Sound the alarms. Fire Giant will respawn here as the Niflheim Wargs have kept themselves alive thanks to Ollie. And in Game 3, remember to zoom out. We've had plenty of time to do so. Both of these teams searching for their first set win here in this phase of the EU SCC. So a Game 3 that goes like this. Now it comes down to maybe one final team fight to win the first game of the phase for either of these two squads. Don't want to lose it on getting caught out. Kha'Zix will initiate instead. Listemex has done the same on the backline. That's an ult in from Itori, but an airstrike out from Toddy. Maskill finds the first, but the other jungler ends up finding the second. Mid lane down.
Whoa.
On the Gilded Gladiator side. But have to jump back in. And now Itori falls as well. Maskill's got a double. And the Niflheim Wargs running for the hills.
3 strong, should be able to maintain their base. Enhanced Fire Giant likely will go over to the Gilded Gladiators as Sap 7, before he falls down, does connect a phenomenal ultimate, making sure that whoever wanted to step up and help Kha'Zix would have been grasped by death. So nobody does. Kha'Zix falls alone, and Worst Turtle, credit for that kill. Spudio tries his best to show some presence around the Fire Giant, but you gotta think that's like a 1 in 1,000 odds that he's stealing away from the Gilded Gladiators, and in doing so loses out on both of his relics. At least maintains the ultimate, but should be even easier now for Maskill to close gap on him. I would have preferred to see Spudio just head back to base and wait there, so he would have had his relics for this base defense. But now, for the next 143 seconds, he's just gonna be twiddling his thumbs.
Are the minions supposed to be humans in this case?
Yes.
Like the
yeah, they're like Roman soldiers,
right,
man.
the characters are all like massive compared to the minions. So do you think in like the day in a life of a minion?
Yeah, they're just like surrounded by like 9'10" gods.
Yeah, like massive, godly characters. And they're
Yeah.
just sent in wave after wave.
Yeah, that's Smite.
That is brutal. You know, I want Denton back. I want my boy Denton.
Do you think every minion like just has crazy body dysmorphia because they just keep seeing these sculpted gods walking around?
Yeah, probably. The minions themselves are pretty buff, though.
Yeah, they're buff, but
Look
they're
at them.
like
Those guys are jacked.
yeah, but they're like half the size of like even the smallest gods.
Well,
Shin
yeah,
Shen
but-
doesn't have a head, and he's
Yeah,
still taller.
I mean, genetics. I mean, come on.
Yeah, that's unlucky.
That's just what the way you're born. You know, not much can be done. I mean, the minions are beefy, but yes, when you get like destroyed by 9-foot tall gods every day, yeah, I'm sure that doesn't help your mental too much. Gilded Gladiators, though, outside of all of that, are now sieging maybe for the final time this game. If the fight goes the same, the Wargs able to keep their lives alive, keep their lives intact.
They're gonna kill you till you're dead.
Kill you till you're dead. Just a moment ago. But now the left side Phoenix is down. Titan is back to full HP. The Niflheim Wargs just have to choose their time to fight.
They do. The Niflheim Wargs will likely try and dig in their heels around this Phoenix, realizing how quickly the left side had gone down.
Ollie, no!
But Ollie,
no! Ollie's got a double leap away. And so does Kha'Zix. Spudio has found the opening kill, though, and it's Masskill who ends up dying. Kha'Zix, though, being melted through by the Gilded Gladiators, but the Cthulhu with a sustain should stay alive. Can you say the same for Spudio? No, you can't. And now two important members on both teams are down, but Atori makes a big difference here. Ultimate is up.
Phoenix
Atori
still
can
up.
chase down this fight. As an ult back in from Atori slows down the escape of the Gilded Gladiators. A 2-for-1 on defense. Stands tall for the Wargs.
Sap 7, phenomenal ultimate on disengage, will still have to use his beads as Ollie evades the ultimate. Kha'Zix doesn't really have the best chase potential. No Descent into Madness available to him. But Dazer, he's got to de-transform eventually and does so now.
That's big damage, though, from Sap on the backside of this fight. As Ollie is stunned, Worst Turtle ults back in. Sap trades out the kill as well. Neither team pulling a massive advantage in this fight. This would be big, though, for Sap. That'll equalize this fight. Literal mirrored fights. Only the mid and the solos left alive.
And it's Listemics on the chase. Sap 7 halfway back to his ultimate, and it is essentially a global, so if he connects it on this chase down, as long as Listemics doesn't allow Itori to back, could be that Sap 7 can finish off this kill. Only one chunk left on that ultimate timer. But Itori gotten behind the corner. Ultimate, no good.
Yeah, looks like he'll live, but will the mid lane Phoenix, slow goings, but mid lane Phoenix does end up dropping, so it's an even team fight as far as numbers go, but map state-wise, very lopsided to the Gilded Gladiators. It's Fire Giant with just 15 seconds remaining on the buff.
64,000 damage.
And one more FG left to spawn. That has been a quiet 64,000 damage, hasn't it? Not in the sense that Sap is playing poorly by any means, but it's just all this like meltdown damage in team fights just end up being like mass kill finishing off the kills. So I keep yelling about mass kill,
Yeah,
but
he's only got like 20k.
But Sap is
Third lowest.
third lowest in the game. Sap
Beating his
is
support by 2k.
just crushing the damage charts right now. It's Persephone making a massive difference.
She is, which is why we've seen the concentrated effort from the Niflheim Wargs to dive onto Sap 7. How often has Kha'Zix found himself in a 1v1 up against this Persephone, or worse, Turtle goes in with the Assassinate? But the peel from the Gilded Gladiators has just been there every time. Toddy GR, not being the target of the majority of the aggression, has been allowed to be essentially just the personal bodyguard of Sap 7. Dazer has been hanging around the back line, facilitating there as well. Those entangling wings finding massive value to separate some of these fights. It's been very hard going for the Niflheim Wargs to close gap onto this Persephone. Probably due, in fact, to the idea that she's got a semi-global ultimate with that Grasp of Death as well. Doesn't really need to dedicate her body to get involved in these team fights. Spudio and Worst Turtle going for a bit of a split push here. The Gilded Gladiators try their best to find some sort of value against the front line of the Niflheim Wargs. Aren't quite able to do so. Fire Giant pulled out. It's going to go pretty quick.
Worst Turtle is way behind the Gladiators, and so is Spudio. What about this? From the Warg, Sap all out of sorts, has to use both of the actives, but none of the kills have dropped, and now the Gilded Gladiators can punch outwards, and that's exactly what Toddy is doing. But Spudio's got an answer, but it is only one answer. Kha'Zix and Ollie, the last two alive, and you don't want Ollie alive on the map if you're the Gilded Gladiators. You gotta kill this guy. But it looks like Kha'Zix will live. Looks like Ollie will live, and the Gilded Gladiators with 4 are running down mid.
Surprised that nobody's willing to dedicate the time to stop those backs. If you stop one of them, would have been a 3 versus 1 on the Phoenix.
This has gotta
Instead
be
now,
game, right?
4 versus 2. 2-1 odds for the Gilded Gladiators as they start to barrel down the Titan room.
Gotta be here. Gilded Gladiators gotta end the game. You don't have the death timers. Spudio's still gone for 45. Ali is now dead, and it's all up to Kha'Zix in 49 minutes. A lengthy set between the Gilded Gladiators and the Wargs will finally come to a close, and it is 74,000 damage from Sap that gets us there.
And you got to think about how that team fight starts up as well. It's everybody from the Niflheim Wargs trying to shut down Sap 7. Kha'Zix gets involved. Spudio's getting aggressive as well. We saw Itori teleport into Sap 7's shadow. But in spite of all of it, this Persephone just survives the initial engagement and then reinitiates immediately afterward. And because everybody from the Wargs had put themselves so far out of position, the team fight afterward was clear.
Mifflin, I'm tired. It was a near hour game 1, 35. We got a rest. We got a nice 35-minute rest in game 2. And then another 50-minute here in game number 3. A good look for the Gilded Gladiators, because as long as that set was, those are the sets where you really got to bear down, take a deep breath, and realize that this is where your team can really make the difference, Miff. And so I think the Gilded Gladiators grabbing themselves a win, first set win of the phase for this squad. So strong for them and a good look moving forward.
It is. Just getting that first one is so important. A first win in a phase or regardless, just knowing that you are able to compete against the players in your league, so important for your mental going forward. My heart's got to go out, though, to the Wargs there. That is a tough break.
Yeah, the Niflheim Wargs, like that's a team.
A long set,
now
too.
He's shown us, right, that they can compete in these lengthier, more drawn-out sets. Mass kill makes a big difference in this game in the kill column, Miff. A lot of the damage set up by Sap. How unfortunate that a play like Ollie's and Spudio's there at the end, well, not the end, 10 minutes before the end of this game, unfortunately just kind of goes by the wayside because the Wargs end up losing anyway. Really more of a delay than anything else. So Gilded Gladiators, really the 1-2 punch of Mass Kill plus Sap just felt so effective this game.
Man, I'm not even sure if I'm willing to give it over to Mass Kill. I feel like Sap 7 was doing like 80% there. I mean, when you're doing that much more damage than literally everybody else, you deserve all the credit in the world, especially with the amount of emphasis that everybody on the Niflheim Wargs was tossing towards Sap 7. Even in the team fight wins that go over to the Gilded Gladiators, generally Sap's dead. He gets his damage out, and then he immediately falls down like any good mage will. That was Aggro's favorite call back in the day was, that's my only job. Look, my ultimate's down, I did it, okay? If I die afterward, no big deal. Finish off the kills. And the Gilded Gladiators embody that style of play and that methodology fully in Game 3.
Wow, 10-5 for Mass Kill. A 4-5-16 game, you're thinking, wow, Sap had kind of a rough game this game, didn't he? And then we're going to tick over to the damage in just a second. You'll see exactly what this Persephone was able to get done. There were moments for Itori, a lot of it through the split push, though. The global pressure that the Chernobog brought to the table made a big difference here.
He did it one time.
My God. And no one is even close. That is 70, and that was the case for a while. Remember when I said look at the damage charts and Itori had like, or Sap rather, had like 25, 30,000, and everyone else was down at like 10. That trend continued all game. Nobody was close to Sap in this game. And I think finally some payoff here for this Gilded Gladiators team, though I think a move like this, specifically roster swaps, after the team had been together, whether these are permanent swaps or just this week swaps, things like that, showing the ability to be flexible and make adaptations and move your team forward in a different way if something clearly hasn't been working in the past. Again, if these are permanent swaps for this squad, I think shows the ability to learn and to grow, and that's important for this Gilded Gladiators team. Niflheim Wargs, lots to hang their hat on, though, here in this set. There were moments in that game where it looks like they're about to come back, and the ability to stay with it mentally in a set that was that long. A good look for the Niflheim Wargs. That is one set of 2 EU sets that we've got for you here today.
4 total sets.
4 total sets. We've got 2 over in North America as well, as the Aru Scorpions and the Highland Ravens will go toe-to-toe in our next matchup. And that one actually a sneaky, really close matchup for the opposite reasons of how things have been in the past, where you're assuming the Ravens are just going to run over the Scorpions. That's not so much the case anymore, Miff. The Scorpions, a new-look squad. Highland Ravens still very talented, but ends up being a top 4 matchup between those two teams. And I think one of the good matchups here this week.
And a little spoiler for you fans at home, I think we do have a new addition to the Highland Ravens this week as well. And it's one that doesn't really need an introduction. Adapting's playing jungle for them.
That's right.
That's the king.
Oh my God.
He's descending upon the battlefield yet again. And I think that's the only way to word it, man. Adapting, he's real good.
What happens? They gotta just win 2-0 now, right? The Highland.
I'm thinking so.
Happens if Adapting comes back.
Yep.
And then it falls a bit flat. I don't know.
It's not going to happen. And
I
you
don't
know what?
No, he's on a
I'm
team
going to have words with you after this that you even said it.
Well, he's on a team with Coast and Angry and Kana and Calvin. That is a talented squad that Adapting is on. My goodness, I'm excited that I just get to sit back and watch that one. Miff and I, after a lengthy 3-game set, will take a break, but we as a group are not taking a break. Our second set over in EU and the return of Adapting coming up next.